What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. We have been beaten 3-0 at the City Ground to 17th place Nottingham Forest. Our last away game before Christmas. Utterly embarrassing result today for Tottenham Hotspur. Coming into this with positivity, having beaten Brentford and Slavia in back-to-back games, got on a late draw at Newcastle as well. Tottenham fans were believing. Have things starting to turn around? Is momentum shifting? Are we starting to play some attacking football? Are we starting to create some chances? Xavi's starting to cook. All came crashing down today in what, in my opinion, is probably a season low point thus far for Tottenham and Thomas Frank. I'm here with Stel to go through what was an utterly shambles performance. And, going before the game, there was some positivity surrounding Spurs, given a bit of a positive momentum had been building, but we've been right crashing down to earth today, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. That could be our worst result of the season when you consider the opposition is 17th place in the league in a relegation battle, and we are the best team away from home. So we've seen some stinkers this year. We've seen our fair share of stinkers. That's definitely in the mix. Before the game, you asked, Stel, what do you think today? And I said, I'm interested to see what we do, because some fans have said we've turned a corner. We've definitely been more attacking. But other fans have said, come on, look at the opposition. They're not that good. So let's see today. It was awful. We had one shot on target. Our XG's in the mud again. Creativity non-existent. I think the alarming thing today, more than anything, Sim, is that, Frank's pragmatic, defensive, makes you tight at the back, hard to beat. We were awful defensively. Awful mistake from Archie Gray. Vicario got lobbed from a cross. This refusal, this absolute stubbornness to defend the edge of the box cost us, for the 100th time, a worldy strike, but we don't defend the edge of the box. So we're inviting teams, especially managers, have got half a brain cell, to encourage their team to get the ball to that space and shoot from there, because they know Spurs won't defend it. And then you've got a very lethargic performance where a lot of players were strolling, walking around, didn't seem intensive or highly motivated to want to win the game. Very few bright sparks. I say Moani was probably the brightest spark we had on the pitch today. For me, the most concerning thing today, and it's just today's game, was I don't know what Frank's half-time team talk was like, because we came out second half just as bad as the first half. And Forest were on the front foot, we were on the back foot, and they scored. No substitutions, made no sense at half-time. We weren't playing well, 2-0 down, and he keeps the same substitutions. And when he did make substitutions, it was questionable. Why take off Spence for Ben Davies? Nothing changed whatsoever. Why not go to a back three, stay with the back four? We conceded another goal. So very few positives to pick from that. I guess it comes down to one thing, Sim. What camp are you in? Are you in the camp of give it time, these things take patience, it's a process, Frank's inherited a bad squad? Or are you in the camp of this squad isn't as bad as losing to Fulham at home, getting bad at Forest away, not getting a victory against Wolves, who've only got 2 points all season? Is the squad that bad, or is it the manager that's making it that bad? What camp do you fall in? For me, I'm in the camp of I don't think this manager's doing a good job, and I stick by that. And he's only going to do a good job if he gets every single player that he wants. But part of a manager's job is to improve what you've got as well, to some degree, and that's not happening at all. So Liverpool next, really, really tough game coming up for us off the back of this terrible loss for me, Sim.
But today was like a chance to show that we really are building that momentum that we hopefully showed in the last few games. We were looking more attacking. The intent was there to get players forward. The fullbacks against Brentford flying forward, right? Spence and Porro really helping their wingers. There was just none of that today. No one getting those positions. Xavi had a complete off day. Look, to be fair, if I'm going to, be fair to Frank, a lot of players like Xavi, Gray, obviously unforced error for the goal. Vicario, did he put him under pressure? There was quite a lot of players who did commit quite a few unforced errors. But I guess when it's everyone doing it, everyone's being sloppy, there has to be something within how the team is coached and how they're set up. Maybe a lack of options, maybe a lack of thinking where the next pass is going to be. Is there thought in their head? Do they know where that next pass is going to be? Or are they thinking about it just as and when it comes? Is there a plan in possession to break teams down, play between the lines, ask different questions? There's a lot of standing around at the moment when we're on the ball. There's not enough movement, there's not enough interchanges. Again, the game plan seemed today, get the ball to Kudus, try and get a cross in, and try and get a header in the box or something. That seems to be the majority of the plan. Now, I get Javi had a really bad game, but again, there was such a lack of a visible kind of way of attacking Forest. It seemed, I wouldn't say today it was like, I think we did try and attack today. I'm not saying we were just sitting back and defending, but we were so thoroughly beaten by a Forest side who completely outdid us tactically today. Like, they knew their game plan. They were very, very solid, and they were breaking on us like so sharply. Hudson-Odoi, Hutchinson, we just couldn't deal with those players. Igor Jesus was holding the ball up against our centre-backs, making it stick. We just weren't able to do that. I guess the question is it to do with the players, or is it to do with how the team is coached? And I do think today, for sure, the players were horrible. And, what can Frank do about that first goal? Gray, unforced error, just giving it straight to Igor Jesus, Sangare, allow him to tackle, and Hudson-Odoi had a tap in. Second goal, you can say massive slice of luck. It's a cross that went all the way in, over the keeper's head. The third goal, a belter from 30 yards from Sangare. So I have a bit of sympathy for the goals we did concede for Frank himself, because I don't know what can he really do about the goals we conceded. But on the flip side of that, you could definitely argue the third goal, how many times have we conceded that goal now this season? A shot from the edge of the box. Who created the more chances out? Take the goals away. Who created the more chances? Was it us or was it Forest?
Forest
by a large margin, I would assume.
They created two big chances
hit the post in the first few minutes.
Yeah,
Vicaria had to make a few saves in the game. How many chances? The big thing for me is, I get we lost. I can take losing, but how many chances did we create? How we look toothless going forward? We have absolutely no game plan. We look like we're completely lost on the ball. Forest looked at us like we were easy pickings. We're 2-0 down, 3-0 down. We're getting laid by Nottingham Forest, a team who are not exactly known for expansive football, for their passing and moving game. Yet Anderson and all these players are passing and moving across. We lost the will to play during that game. It was embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing. The players let their heads drop at 2-0. Right, we thought it was like the game was done. We conceded the second goal in 50th minute, just after half time, and that was it. It was like the game was done. It was like we had no answer to it. Our best chance of the game was a swivel volley on the edge of the box from Archie Gray, which forced a save from the keeper. That was our best chance of the game. We had no chances in this game, and that is just a common theme this season. This isn't the first time it's happened.
It's coaching, Sim.
When that happens, right, as much as I can have sympathy with people are going to come in, maybe people are going to call in, or people say after the game, it's clearly the players, look, Gray made that mistake, look at the individual mistakes we're making. I get that, and I have sympathy for that argument, because the players wasn't an excuse today. But when it's a common theme through every single game this season, most games, where we're really struggling to create chances and really struggling to get near the opposition box, that can't just be individuals.
So I've got a question for you then. If it's the players...
Okay, yeah.
If it's the players, then why did we beat West Ham 3-0 away, Everton 3-0 away, beat Brentford 3-0 at home? Was it 2-0? Mm-hmm. Why did we beat Man City away? Why have we only lost one game in the Champions League this season? If the players are the problem, why are we getting these results?
Let me ask you. I agree with you, and you know what? You're not shocking, Sam. I'm looking at Forest this season. How much XG they've conceded?
They've been awful, Sim.
I know they've been awful, but
they're an awful team.
I'm looking at the XG they've conceded against opponents this season. You know who now holds the record for the lowest XG against Forest this season?
Don't say Tottenham.
It's Tottenham.
That's unbelievable.
The lowest before that they had against them was against Bournemouth was 0.6. Today we did 0.3.
See what I find.
So are we the worst team Forest have played this season? Is that what we're saying?
This team is not as bad as what we're seeing. They're not. In fact, we're not a bad team. We're not great. We're not deserved of being in the top 4, and we are definitely in a real tough battle for top 6. But to be 11th and to lose these kinds of games, you can't just blame the players, because then you've got to praise them for when they beat Brentford, and praise them when we beat Everton, and praise them when we beat Man City away. It can't be. We can't have a season where it's, oh, we lose a game, players are shit. We win a game, Frank masterclass. What is that? Because, and I'll remind everyone, not just Ange, but Conte, Mourinho, every other manager, but Ange is the most recent one. Ange got blasted for losing games. And everyone said, and I want to remind every Spurs YouTuber said this, all of you, and podcasters and fans, so many said, a better coach coaches better than what we're seeing. Well, where is it? I thought Frank is that better coach. Now it's, oh, what do you want Frank to do with these players? Well, then where was that excuse for Conte and for Ange and for Nuno and for everyone else? We're in this weird paradigm where Frank's been given a different set of metrics and a different type of pass at the club, and the players are getting all the blame. I don't see how certain players... Look, we've got some fringe players, okay, like Tel and Odebert. Mm-hmm. They divide opinions. Some fans say they're shit. Some fans say, they're young, give them a chance. Well, when? When are they going to get the game time to show whether they're good or not? Playing them 30 minutes here, 45 minutes here, 10 minutes here, 2 games in a row. A player needs a good 10 games in a row to find their feet, build some partnerships on the pitch, get a feel for the game, and build some momentum. And if they have a bad game, keep playing them, because that's how we're going to see whether or not they're actually good or whether that was just a bad game. But the problem is we're not doing that with our players, so we don't know. I think...
Well, he tried today to keep some stability, didn't he? Because we've accused him of chopping and changing, yet in the last 3 games, especially the last 2 Premier League games, has been unchanged, isn't it? So I don't know when the last time he did an unchanged lineup was, but this must be the first time in a while he's done an unchanged lineup from Premier League game to Premier League game. So he tried to keep some consistency.
But Sim, that's a very small window to operate in, like 2-3 games. Mm-hmm. You've got to do it for 10 games. You've got to do it for a significant period of time to really see what's going on. Today, the one thing that really stands out with me under Thomas Frank is how awful our passing is. The way we give up the ball with ease it beggars belief, and that is something that is drilled and coached on the training ground. You can take a bunch of average players and make them a good passing team that might not win games, that might not be super effective, but they keep possession of the ball because you've just drilled it into them, and that's all you do. You can do that. So for us to be this poor at passing the ball and keeping possession is because we don't give it enough time on the training pitch, and we focus the training on other aspects of the game that Frank and the team want to work on more so. What that is, I don't know, because I can't see it. At first, I thought they were focusing more on defending and being pragmatic and hard to beat. But our defence has been crap for 6-7 weeks. It's not been great. So yeah. I can't say that it's defending that we're working mostly on. And look, with Ange, you knew we didn't do any defending. We barely coached defending. You could see it. And it was keep the ball, pass it, get the ball forward quickly, try and play one-touch football, and if you get into the pocket and the ball drops, strike back of the net. You could see what he was trying to do. Now, whether it was a good way of playing football or not is for the fans to decide. But with Frank, I don't know what it is that we are working on. I don't understand it. Because there was a period of me where I said to him, we look like we're a good set-piece team now, but when's the last time we scored from a set-piece?
It's been a while. And you know what's funny about that?
When's the last time we scored from a set-piece? I
was looking at the stat, there was about set-pieces. We create the least chances per corner than anyone else in the Premier League. So we're actually not good at set-pieces. We've just been scoring... We scored some at the beginning, but actually, like, chances created per set-piece, per corner, we're near the bottom. So we've been like outperforming basically the amount of chances we create.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, right? I mean, that's just ridiculous. What are we good at, Sim?
I don't know. Honestly,
what are we actually good at?
We're good at maybe getting Kudus on the ball a lot. and not necessarily creating anything.
You know when you're at school, right, and you play football at lunchtime, and everyone lines up against the wall, and everyone picks, like you pick, and then the best kids get picked first, and then the rubbish kids get picked last. Okay, right, and then when you have the match, it was always get it to him. He's the best player.
Yeah, basically,
we've become that. We're a primary school football team. Get it to Kudus.
It's just
get it to him.
But that seems our whole game plan. And as you say, today they had 2-3 players around him a lot. Today, and he obviously he struggled to like really get involved. Javi was having a really off day. Richarlison was shocking. Moani did try, I would say. Moani like tried his best, like to do something, but again, he was difficult for him. I also don't think he's a winger, Moani. As much as I like him, I don't think he's a winger.
Do you know my one issue with Moani, and it's the same issue I've got with Kudus. They hold on to the ball that one bit too long. Too often, not always, but there's moments where you think if you just made that pass, we were in. We were so in, and they don't make it. And Mohamed has the same weakness in his game that needs to be improved on. Xavi Simons today was just bang average, and that's me being polite.
His subs to change the game, I did not get them as well. It didn't make us better.
The Ben Davies one was a.
That was you bring on when you're pushing forward and you're going to leave more space. You bring on Davis.
I know, I said it.
That didn't make sense. And it didn't.
You've got to laugh, otherwise you're going to cry.
I think Paolini helped a bit, but it's not like he's going to give you more ability on the ball, but I guess he's on there to win some more duels. And who else did you bring on? He brought on Bergvall, who didn't have a great cameo either, unfortunately. But that one made more sense. But why not bring on Telnode a bit earlier? Why are you giving them 15 minutes? It didn't make sense to me. I think the tactic, like when we didn't look any better when.
Do you know? You can bring whatever play you want to this football club, right? The way we play football, the intent of the game is the stumbling block. We don't have that intent that we're going to dominate the ball, we're going to put you on the back foot, and we're coming for your throats. What we do is we have this very cautious approach, and we try and sprinkle some attacking play on top of it. And I think we've had a couple of games this season where we've been very attacking, but because the opposition offered nothing up front, it made us look more attacking than what we actually were, because the opposition had nothing up top to trouble us. Whereas today, they had one or two options to trouble us, and it then stifles our ability to attack, which shouldn't be the case, because we shouldn't be letting them attack us. We should be pushing them so far back that the pressure's all on them. But for the whole game, I think it's fair to say most of the pressure was on us the whole game. And we invited the errors, we invited the mistakes, we allowed their dominance in attacking play to cause us to concede silly goals today.
The problem is, right, we've had, and I do get the whole give him time thing, and I do want to give him time, and at the moment I don't see if we would sack him unless we have a plan in place. I'm not interested in getting an interim in or anything like that. So I think you might as well give it a bit more time to see if we can correct these things. The problem is we're now getting close to 19 games. That's like half a season. You should start seeing things be getting better after 19 games. I understand you're going to have some rough patches. I understand you're going to go through some low points and sticky situations. The problem is, you had the Bournemouth game earlier in the season. You've had so many of these instances now, and they keep happening. It seems like, for one moment we think maybe we turned a corner beating Brentford at home. Everyone's like, okay, well, that was good. Maybe it's more encouraging. But then it's like the next game is like worse than it's ever been, or one of the worst. It's like back to square one. It's like before square one. Like, if I could if we would have lost today, but, you create chances, you're just on the end of a 2-1 or 3-2 defeat, and, you give it a good go, but you concede those 3 goals, but, you see you're creating chances, we miss a few, and end up on the losing side, but you're unlucky, whatever, I can take that. But we were thoroughly outplayed again today, and it's not the first time it's happened this season, it's not the first time it's happened recently. You're supposed to be building off some positive momentum you've got in recent weeks, yet there clearly has been nothing learned from. I thought maybe we'd learn something, things had changed, but clearly off the back of what I'm seeing, are we going in the right direction? Is there evidence that there were real lessons learned, or did we just have a one-off good performance against Brentford? Was that what happened? Was that the reality? Was that just a one-off performance?
The league table never lies, okay? The league table never lies. if you're 17th, if you're 15th, 11th, 6th, wherever you are, there's a reason for it. Okay, there's a reason for it. Either the squad is absolute garbage, or the manager isn't that good, or there's mitigating circumstances. It's one of the three. Are there mitigating circumstances? No, not for me.
Well, people would say Kulusevski, Madison, Solanke.
But we signed Moani, Kudus, and Simmons, and they're all fit. So that kind of cancels it. Then you have the players. Well, like I've said, we've seen results this year where we look good. So I can't suddenly just say, well, hold on, what? 1 week the players are good, 1 week they're shit, 1 week they're good. That doesn't work for me. There's a common thread that's happening now. One is this XG. Mm-hmm. This is becoming a common factor now. Mm-hmm. Then it's the inconsistency. And the other one is...
What I'd say is we've been consistently bad and with a few sputtering in of good.
Yeah, okay. So inconsistency of results. Mm-hmm. Performances, you're right, we are consistently below par. That, for me, I personally... And look, guys, call in and tell me that you disagree. I put it on Frank. I do. Because, you know, one thing I keep thinking to myself, Sim, if Pochettino had Romero and Van der Ven, and he had Porro and Spence, we wouldn't play like this.
No.
If he had Paulinho in the six like he had Wanyama, if he had Bergvall, Simmons, if he had Moani, Kudus, I honestly think under Poch and even Redknapp, you wouldn't necessarily see a brilliant team that's challenging Arsenal and City and Villa. I don't think that for a second. But I do think you'll see a balanced team that knows when to defend and how to attack, when to slow a game down, when to raise the tempo. I think you'd find a more balanced, controlled team if Redknapp and Poch inherited this squad. Do I think they'll challenge for top four? No. But do I think we'd be 11th? Absolutely not. That's what I keep going back to in my head. What would Redknapp and Poch do if they had these players? And I think we wouldn't be seeing 0.2 XG. We wouldn't be seeing 5 shots a game.
Exactly.
We wouldn't be seeing a defence that 1 minute they look good, next minute we're just wide open like Ange Ball. Mm-hmm. So I have to put it on Frank because I truly believe, not just up here, but in my heart, Poch and Redknapp do a better job with this current squad. But I want to caveat this, not top 4 though, but better than this. Is that a fair assessment?
100%. I think it's a clear pattern now with how we play that when we're not creating chances. And we're all hoping it's going to change. It was better in one game against Brentford, but the common theme at the moment is our severe lack of creativity. And that has to be a manager issue. That has to be, because if it's a one-off game that we're not creating the chances, you can say players should have
exactly.
that game. But it's a constant pattern. With the same patterns are playing out. And fair enough, we played well against Brentford. That's one game. Like more often than not, even when we were winning games, we were outperforming our XG and we were just getting by.
That stat you posted about Spurs have got the worst XG against Nottingham Forest
this season. Yeah,
that is the most damning stat of the lot this year. Out of all the damning stats I've heard, that for me is an absolute shocker. Like and real.
They've played all half the league basically.
Yeah.
They're better and we're the worst.
That is scraping the barrel.
After 16 games, so we're getting close to halfway through the season.
Who have we got next? Next game we've got Liverpool at home.
Then Brentford again, isn't it?
Is that away? They're not bad at home.
They're not bad at home. Yeah.
Palace. We've got Palace.
Oh, Palace away.
Right, see...
Are we going to win that? Then Brentford away.
Palace are on a bit of a bad run. Glasner's had a bit of a disagreement with the board. But do you trust Tottenham to go there and capitalise on that?
No chance.
And that's the worrying thing, Tim.
You know what?
There's no belief as fans that we're going to do it.
And my, Josh King has, he's been WhatsApping me throughout today. He's not happy. But what I think he brings up a good point. Like throughout the season, right? not even throughout the season, especially the last few weeks when we're not having bad performances, we're giving excuses, not excuses, but reasons like, oh, it's because we've got Paulinho and Bentancur. Oh, it's because he's not playing Xavi. Oh, it's because he's not using Graham Bergvall enough. Oh, all these reasons, and yet today he played. The team.
So who's Josh blaming? Who's he?
No, he's blaming Frank. But I'm saying I think it's a good.
No, I was wondering. I don't know.
No. But he's saying like today. He's played the team everyone wants, right? He's played the team that everyone thinks this is a good team to attack with. This is a good team.
But then the counter argument you're going to hear is, but that just proves the squad is shit.
But everyone's been saying this is the team we should be playing, and then we played like this against Brentford.
Yeah, but that's my point.
We saw how well they played.
But Sim, that's my point. I'm not agreeing with the point, but what you're going to hear from some people is, but that just shows no matter who he plays, they're just all crap. That's what you're going to hear.
But it doesn't make sense. Like today, look at the team.
That's going to be the counter argument
we got on the pitch. Like that should be
like Danny Kiraku. That's his argument. His argument is, but Sim, you've just proved my point. He's played them all, and they're all rubbish. Whereas I will never accept in a million years that Van der Ven, Romero, Spence, Porro, Paulinho, Kudus, Moani, Bergvall are shit. I'm not accepting that from any Spurs fan. I can listen to Richie being crap. And Odebert and Tell, and we can argue about them. But for me, 80% of the players on that pitch today are more than capable to create more, score more, and put in a better performance like that on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. That's where my argument sits.
I agree with you. That's exactly my point. That's what I've been saying all season. That's pretty much what I've been saying all season.
We have an agreement in the studio.
I'm not saying like we are nailed on for top 4 or even top 6 or anything, but I'm just saying there's a consistent theme here of our attackers barely, not even like creating decent amounts, like shit amounts, like bottom of the barrel amounts, like less than Wolves and Burnley kind of amounts.
That's unacceptable.
And that's
unacceptable.
My big problem. And it's happening consistently. It's happened throughout the season. We're now nearly halfway through the season and it's still happening on a regular basis. And there have to be big question marks of this manager. And
he's getting a free pass.
I'm not saying sack him tomorrow. I'm just saying this can't go on. You can't carry on.
But he's not going to change it, Sim. Like nothing will change under Frank unless he gets all the players he wants in, because he can't coach or develop or work with the current crop. That's where we're at. Anyone that thought, we just need a proper coach, get a proper coach in, and it was a nonsense. The whole thing was a nonsense. The reality is we have hired a manager that can't do much more than what the previous manager had. Was capable of that, and we're seeing it in the stats and we're seeing it in the results. Thomas Frank will not do well at Spurs unless he's given all the players he wants, and even then we don't know because it's still unproven. That's where we're at. So the question is, Sim, here's a question for you: do you trust him to be given 100 million in January?
That's a great question. That is a great question, and I don't know. Because I worry about who he's going to prioritise.
Who's he going to attract? What top player is going to look at us and say, yeah?
But the thing is, in a weird way, the fact that you look at our midfield and our lack of passing ability, right? And he went and signed Paulinho in the summer. Now, I like Paulinho. I think he's a good player. But the fact that he was the player identified as what we're really missing when we don't have a guy who can pass the ball forward.
We need a kind of Manu Kone.
Or someone like that. Like
brilliant player.
We need a high volume passer who can set the tempo of the game. And Paulinho's come in, and yes, he gets more tackles in, and that's great. And he's stronger. But he's a limited player. He's a very limited player. And he wasn't on the pitch for a lot of it.
He's a traditional 6, isn't he?
But it worries me about.
But that's his pragmaticness,
That's
though.
the thing. That's his
defensiveness.
It worries me about what he sees and what he wants. Is he prioritising like just real physical players with a limited technical ability, or is he going to, look at the top teams and try and get closer to them? That's what I'm worried about. But look, let's start getting fans on because it's your chance to have your say. Do you blame the players more? Is it their fault? The individual errors? Is that what was the problem today? Or do you see Frank as the main issue of why we're really lacking chance creation and why we're failing to get these results? Let us know in the comment section below. That was obviously your instant match reaction, but let's start getting some fans on. And to start the show, it's our favourite former Olympian. Let's get Josh on the show. Come on.
Oh, what a legend.
Absolute legend. How are we doing, Josh?
Yeah, what an introduction. Thank you.
Nice to have you on. It's my first time,
mate.
I think, chatting to you, I think, because I think I haven't been on the fan shows when you've called on before. But
Lovely to meet you.
lovely to meet you too. Today, I know you've had various theories. I've been watching, obviously, your call-ins before. You've had various theories about what is going on at Tottenham. We had some real decent upturn the last couple of games against Brentford and Slavia, positive momentum going in. But back to square one today. What was your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I sat and watched the game today and had my phone with me, just making some notes so that I could, I guess, come on and. I mean, if it's okay, I'm going to be as ruthless as we need to be today.
Please be as ruthless as possible.
Because today's performance, I think, highlights everything that Spurs is as a team, from a managerial perspective, and certainly, from the back of house side of stuff that I've been speaking about for a while now, coming back to our culture. And look, I think I actually picked us to lose 1-0 today. And again, when I go back on that opinion, I think it's still too emotional, because one of the things, well, you are who you are most consistently, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a pattern that's been happening for a while where whatever the psychological assessment that we give of our opponents, if we position ourselves above that, then we perform well. If we position ourselves at or below that, then we get a hiding, whether it's on the score sheet or whether it's from a performance perspective. And that's what happened today. And I want to say this right up front. And from what I see, we are in a world of trouble. And I want to say this because when you look at the teams that we've beat and how they've improved, mm-hmm. and we're not improving at all, if not going backwards. West Ham are better. City are obviously better, to the point where they're probably a genuine challenger.
This is a great point
Arsenal.
he's making, actually.
Mm-hmm. Right?
It's a great point.
Leeds are better. Burnley, I think you can argue that they're marginally better. Still, obviously, a relegation team. Everton are better. Mate, yeah. I couldn't believe it. I had a conversation with a mate during the week when I said Everton, they were sixth on the table at one point last week, right?
Yeah.
They
beat Forest 3-0 last week.
Yeah.
No, keep going.
Oh,
right, so dagger. So I look at who we've beaten, and going back to the psychological assessment, at the time we played those teams, we bullied them because we thought we were better than them. And all of those teams have improved. And look, you're a brave person to say that in a few weeks' time we go to Brentford and win. I just don't know how you say that, even though we beat them 2-0. It's obviously only 2 weeks since we played them, so you can't make an assessment on whether Brentford have improved. But if you look at, and I said when we were third on the table and who we'd been beating, that our form is not third on the table. And I said by Christmas we could be 14th or 15th. And Liverpool winning yesterday 2-0, I would have thought if Liverpool had a drawn or lost, I still would have thought we were a chance of beating them at home. I don't think so anymore. The next game that I could potentially see us winning is West Ham, and I don't even see that as a given 3 points, right? So again, I just think that fans need to be really circumspect around where we truly are from a performance perspective, because we're falling quickly and other teams are lifting. And if we don't lift at least to their level, I've got to say by the end of January, we could be in that relegation conversation.
But what does it do psychologically for the team or for the management when you look like it started clicking a bit last week against Brentford? You then play the same team this week, I think was unchanged from that game. You're looking for the same kind of performance, and then you put in what we could possibly be one of the worst performances of the season this time round. What do you think psychologically that's either down to, or what do you think it does to a team after that, where Frank maybe thinks after one game he thinks he's got it maybe right, and then it's like back to the drawing board all of a sudden?
Yes, look, it's a great point. But again, go back to what I said initially. You are what you are most consistently. Okay, so the performance against Brentford and Slavia, are we mostly that, or are we mostly today?
Mm-hmm. Probably mostly today, yeah.
Well, it's not probably.
You're right about that. Yeah.
Well, but John, and I don't mean to.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be cruel or anything like that or nasty. I'm just saying the reality of the situation when you reduce the emotion down to zero and you look like exactly at our performances. That's the reality, and that's why initially I thought 1-0, because there was an emotional component. I thought we'd get beat, but I thought it'd be close. But again, 3-0. When you look at the parameters of if we enter a game, okay, so what's against us, right? We're away.
Mm-hmm.
Forest are a difficult team to break down, irrespective of their performances this year versus last year. They're a team that are difficult for us to beat, put it that way, right? So we go to an away situation. They're on our level as far as where we perceive ourselves performance-wise, as the psychological look at that game, and then so look what happened.
Josh, why do you say that? I don't understand. You say psychologically we're on the same level, but we've got the best away record in the country.
And that's 17.
That psychologically gives us an edge to being at home.
Yes, but it's not from an outcome perspective, right? So what I see is internal. Like I look at the performances of the individuals and how that is connected in a team situation, and Nottingham Forest is they're probably like.
They're 17th, Josh.
They're similar to but they're similar to a Leeds. Like when I look at the matchup, they're similar to when we played Leeds, where we're lucky to get away with that, right? So that if we were to look at, okay, who are the teams that are clearly above us psychologically, how the team would view that, right? It's the majority of the league. Who are the teams that we probably sit equally on as far as how we view them? Right, look at who we beat and when we beat them. Like we beat Burnley week 1. I mean, Burnley were always going to be a relegation team. We beat Everton when they were in the bottom half of the ladder, right, the league. And I think also, if you look at Forest qualifies irrespective of when we played them today. They qualify as a team whose form is improving.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're not
compared to Ange's 7 games.
Yeah, for sure, right? But even with Nuno, I mean, I know. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So, what I'm saying is all it has to be is within view of how we perceive ourselves and our matchups, right? Like even with Wolves, when we played Wolves, I mean that was a shocking performance. We're lucky to get away with it, but again, you guys were saying before about what are we consistent at? Being inconsistent. That's what we're consistent at.
So what do you lay the blame or the reasons why we're seeing what we're seeing? Do you think the manager, we're a lot of people say give him time, but we're now 16 games into the season and getting close to halfway. Should we be seeing a lot more at this point than we are? Or do you think, this is enough time to make real judgments about what we're seeing?
Yeah, I think it's enough time, and mainly because you think about if you're a player, right, in the squad, if your minutes are changing week to week, whether you're starting week to week or not, like how do you bed down a position, right? All of the great teams, they have a starting 11, and then they have an expected substitute for that particular position, and it's constant. When Arsenal play, or when City play, or Liverpool play, Chelsea play, when someone's coming off, we know who's going on. Pretty consistently. That's not the case with Tottenham. We have no idea who's coming on. We have no idea what position they're playing. That's us, the fans. So can you imagine what's happening within the squad? That confusion is going to have an enormous impact on performance.
Who causes that confusion then?
The manager.
Can I ask you a question, Josh? A couple of weeks ago when you came on, we were talking about the manager, and you said to me that it doesn't make sense changing the manager now because we have to go through this period. I can't remember exactly how you explained it, but I remember your conclusion was you just got to stick with it. Are you still of that thinking when you see things like this, or are you pivoting away from that and saying actually maybe there's a purpose and a reason as to maybe doing something sooner rather than waiting to the end of the season?
It's a good question, still.
Basically, I'm asking you if you changed your mind. without trying to.
Well, with a caveat.
Of course.
It's getting to the point now where Spurs. I'll ask you guys, because again, I know the performance side. I don't know the tactical side, the strategic stuff, or the on-field stuff. Is there a profile of a manager whose job, or who would be brought in, whose objective is to change the culture of the club?
Is there one available?
Is that such a thing in the the football world? Where
there is such a thing.
They're not a pet.
Or to change the culture at Spurs.
Do you know what I mean? Right.
Yeah. He's saying, does that exist? Like, is that a thing?
I don't think. Well, under ENIC, you think a manager can come in and change the way they?
No, he's saying, does that exist in football? Like, can
No, he said Spurs.
Let me word it a different way. Is there a job opportunity for a manager that might not necessarily be from a high performance perspective? Okay, we're going to be moving up the ladder. We're going to be, challenging or qualifying for Europe. Potentially, challenging for the Premier League. Or is there an interim manager whose job? We spoke about this a couple of times, Stel, as far as what needs to happen internally in the workings and operations of the club. Right, that's a whole other conversation. But is there a manager that can come in and, yes, obviously manage, to win games, but actually change the culture of the club? Because this is the comment. I mean, when you understand culture always wins, right? This culture always wins. If your culture is strong and your below average personnel come in, they've got two options. They've either got to rise to the culture or leave the club. Okay. If your culture is weak, then your high quality personnel have got two choices. They can drop their performance to the culture, or they can leave. But culture always wins.
I
think Ange was supposed to be that guy, wasn't he, to change the culture?
I don't think any manager changes the culture under ENIC. ENIC have to change the open-mindedness and allowing the manager to guide them to change it. And I don't know if ENIC are that open-minded.
Isn't this a rare opportunity, the fact that ENIC are going through change, and maybe that gives an opportunity for someone to have a bit more influence managerially? Like, as opposed to maybe when, Levy was there set in his ways, he wanted certain things, whereas I feel like ENIC now, they want to show that they're changing at least, and there's a bit of an opportunity there.
Okay, in that case, if that's true, and to answer your question based on what Sim just said, then for me, it's 100% Pochettino, because he made the fans believe and he changed the culture of how we thought as fans. As fans, first time ever, supporting Tottenham, I truly believed we were going to win the Premier League that season we came second. I really believed we were going to do it. And I actually believed that we had a chance of that Champions League final. I've never felt like that as a Spurs fan. And I think that was me in a culture at the time at Spurs where... So I would say yes, but I think Poch is the guy for a cultural change. What do you think? Or do you think Frank can do it?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about... what do we mean by cultural change in terms of how we play? Like, always looking to be the best? Is it about always looking to be brave and going?
Josh, what do you mean by culture?
Is it winning? Is it winning mentality? What do we mean by culture?
So, performance, right? Like, there was a window of time after 2-0 where we probably played our best football for 10 minutes. Why? This is consistent. This happens all the time. Why does our football lift when we have to get to 2-0 for our football to lift? Why does the football start at exactly right? I actually think it's worse than that. I think we are motivated by the embarrassment of where we are, right? Like, I just can't put anything else down to it. Like, you're already down 2-0. And that's just personal pride in performance. Why isn't that starting when the first whistle blows? That's a culture, because it's consistent. right?
Okay.
So, I mean, one of the things that I was saying, I sit here and watch the football every now and again with my wife, who used to play football when she was younger, and the most common thing that comes out of her mouth is move, move. Like I would love to see. They wear these trackers in their jerseys. I would love to see the percentage of walking to running, because when we've got the ball in the back line on the halfway mark, every other person is waiting for the person with the ball to do something, as opposed to creating something themselves, right? That's a performance culture. You just watch them. And there was a point in the second half where we had 6 in our defensive half, and Jesus was the only Forest player. He had all the space in the world with 6 people in defence. Why? Because he was positioned correctly. I remember a presser that Ange did where, he was getting frustrated with the positional play of the team. And his comment was, I wish I could have a joystick to put them where I want them to be. So, yeah, look, we've spoken about this before with Stel, that if Poch is the guy, and, personally, I don't think he should go back in history. I think he should always be looking forward. But if he is the guy, if he's that high performance cultured manager, there needs to be his parallel operating within the organization. They need to be working in a coordinated fashion to change the culture, because there's no point in having, what the fans see, that part of the business, operating in a certain culture, and then what's happening back of house, operating with a version of that culture or a weaker portion of that culture.
Josh, let me ask you this: when you're watching football and you're, assessing what's going on the pitch, and you're assessing maybe how a manager's doing or a player, how do you discern whether the problem with performance is the players aren't good enough compared to the manager's not doing a good enough job? How do you how do you assess that when you're watching?
Yes, well, it's a good question. I think the best way to answer that question is, in the absence of effort, it's easy to point to a lack of quality, right? You really don't know how good a player is. If they're not trying, how do you ever see their quality on display, right? Now, in Spurs' situation, part of the assessment of the player, because it's consistent, is their application, right? We don't know anymore. And, the point that I made was, name a player outside of Sonny and Kane who has come to Spurs and either chosen to stay in the club for the tenure of their natural playing days because they've been challenged, they've been successful individually and as a team, as a club, or has come in and their value has increased and then they've gone on to bigger and better things.
How many players?
Who? Can we name players? Do you know what I mean? Like, because what I see a club where people come to because the culture is weak, and the performance of the players individually and as a group reduces to the level of the culture.
Interesting.
That's what I see.
Well, I would say we're known for developing players, like being potentially for players who have been a stepping stone to bigger things, like Bale, Modric, Kane. Obviously, Son's been here the duration of his career. Vertonghen was here for a long time. But there is a lot, especially I would say since 2019, there's been a lot of players who have come and everyone's been excited about, and they've got a lot weaker. And they've maybe regressed.
They've been overhyped as well, a lot of the players.
Well, have they? Well, they've gone on to do all right, some of these players.
Who?
I'm trying to think off the top of my head now.
The fact you have to think means that there's hardly any.
I can't think now. I had a few players in mind, but
there's hardly any though, is there? It's like it's a tiny group.
Walker left for big money, but obviously he's not overhyped. Yeah, maybe, yeah. So what's your point is the culture overall is holding these players back?
Yeah, and to be honest, like if just, to give some perspective on how long these sorts of things take, it would be 3 to 5 years before you could see any consistent evidence of an opposing culture, and probably 10 before that culture becomes habitual.
10?
That's how.
10 years.
10 years.
Oh my Lord. Do you know, Josh, there's actually some sense in what you're saying, because when you do your coaching badges, when you begin, they always tell you about the most important thing is the environment you create to coach the players. And if the environment's not right, the players will suffer, the coach will suffer, and the environment essentially is another way of kind of saying culture. Because culture, like what Sim made a good point when he said, "What do you mean by culture?" The word culture can be perceived in many ways, whereas the environment, it's almost
quite a specific thing.
Yeah. So I think culture and environment go hand in hand, because if the environment isn't right, there will be deficiencies in the coaching and the training, and effects, and that has the effect on the results and the performances on a match day. So culture and environment go hand in hand. And they do teach that. And when you do your coaching badges, they do teach you. They just call it environment, not culture. So.
All right, Josh. Well, it's difficult at the moment, being knowing what to do with the situation. For you, is it if there's another manager available, would you be open to it, or do you think we need to give him more time? Where do you land at the moment?
Yeah, look, only, and again, I'm probably going to be catching up on Stell's channel at some point soon. We're going to talk about this a little bit more, but I honestly don't think. You've got to preface the fact that if the ownership and the board don't want to go down this path, then the conversation that we're having is a fool's errand. But for the sake of the conversation, I think we need to say, okay, yeah, this is something that they want to do. I think if you could get someone to come in and do a high performance audit, of the club in its entirety, plus on the organisational side, away from the squad and
well, Levy's being audited at the moment. They're doing an audit on Levy's transactions.
If you could find that person to come in and give Frank that support, because here's the thing with a club like Spurs, right? We're so impatient for success, like we really are, and it's a nightmare managerial position to come to, because you're not going to be given the time. Recent history suggests you're just not going to be given the time. And this is where I was a little bit accepting of Ange. We all want the finished product manager to come and take us to the glory land, right? There's so few of those. I mean, we probably had them in Mourinho and Conte come in, and we expected them to be that person, and it didn't work out. So you've got to, again, if at the type of club that Spurs are, the environment, back to what Stel was saying, the environment, the best environment is for an environment where a manager comes in and he's actually got time to grow to what he needs to become for us to reach the promised land.
Josh,
right?
Let me tell you
something. And I know that's,
when Poch was the manager, his relationship with McDermott, the academy head, was the best we've ever seen in the club. His relationship with the coaches, Poch and the coach's relationship with the staff at Spurs, and Poch's relationship with Levy, all those relationships were the best Spurs has seen it in 30-odd years.
Yeah. No surprise.
In hindsight, not backing Poch when he said painful rebuild, furniture, house, and then taking the culture to the next level, that is the biggest mistake we as a club have made to this day. And I think now you're just seeing it all.
We're still feeling it.
Yeah. Because the culture then, and the fans were well on board. The fans were well on board. And with the new stadium being built as well, it really thought like, right, we're going to go somewhere now. And here we are, 3-0 down to Forest on a Sunday afternoon in December.
Anyway, look, Josh, appreciate your time, mate. We're going to.
Thanks, guys. Good to chat with you again.
Thanks for calling in, mate. It's really good to see you again.
Yeah.
And,
big up, Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Big up. Congratulations on the newborn, by the way.
Oh, congratulations, Josh.
I just remembered.
Didn't know that.
Do you know what?
Fantastic news.
Do you know what I like about Josh? He looks at it from a different angle to what we're used to from most fans, including myself and you. It's nice to get a different.
That's the high level he's been at before,
Yeah.
which is really interesting perspective to hear. First of all, I just want to say there's been another apology. This time from Pedro Porro.
It means nothing, man. These apologies mean nothing.
Weekly apologies now, it's fair to say. Pedro Porro said the away fans don't deserve performances like this.
No shit.
He said, today was a bad game from us. Every game is difficult in the Premier League. We can play on Tuesday and win in the Champions League, but in the Premier League it's different. Maybe more intensity, I don't know, but I feel especially sorry for the fans that don't deserve this today.
Did he say, I don't know?
He said on we won on Tuesday in the Champions League, but in the Premier League it is different. Maybe more intensity, I don't know.
I don't know. How reassuring is that when when your players say, I don't know?
Well, let's come and get David's perspective on what happened today. Let's bring him on. Hey, David.
Hello, how are you doing?
All good.
Good afternoon.
Being better. It's been a difficult watch today. Back to square one after some positivity over the last week.
Yeah.
But a shocking performance, getting olayed by a 17th place Forest 3-0 down. What was your take on the game?
I'm lost for words. We played shit. It looked like that the players just came back from holiday. No motivation at all. There was a lack to track back and to kind of fight for the ball. I must say, like, some players, such as, in my opinion, Xavi Simons, he did have that willingness to put in that extra tackle, but within the entire squad, there was no energy whatsoever. Everybody was just walking around the pitch, and it just looked like as they'd given up on the game.
Yeah, so, after such a positive performance against Brentford last week, he's made an unchanged team from that game, and we put in a performance like that. What do you think that's down to, do you think?
I think it's down to the tactics. I think Frank, he keeps on changing his tactics based on the team we're playing, and it's not helping the squad. The players, it looks like they're confused. They don't know how we're going to play, what formation, and it just doesn't help with the consistency. One game we might do well, but then we change our tactic, and then we play horrendously the other game. There's no consistency whatsoever within the squad, and I think that comes down to Frank's decisions and his tactics.
So what do we do about this situation? Is it about allowing him that time to gain that consistency? Have we seen enough time from him to make judgments on how he's doing? How do you feel about that situation?
It's coming to the period where he's had enough time to kind of implement his tactics, and it's come to the time where we have to be critical on the performances and the tactics that he's introduced. So I do think he deserves to wait out the entire season, and let's see how he does his first season at Spurs. But when it comes to the summer, if we finish mid-table and we don't finish in Europe, I think it has to be Frank out, in my opinion.
So you said, what do you think? Do you feel the same, or you would get him out immediately? But you said
no, I'm not.
mid-table.
I'm not for Frank out immediately. I've said he needs to prove himself. I wanted to. We had 4 games, I think, in December left. I said you've got to win at least 2. We've won 1, lost 1. Let's see what happens. But the only concern I've got with waiting to end the season, David, tell me what you think about this. I don't want us to spend £100 million if Frank turns out to be the wrong manager, and then the next manager comes in and inherits that. Because money for us is very... we don't just throw it here and there the way Man United and City and Chelsea do. We're quite prudent with our money to some degree. So... where are you at with? Would you give Frank 100 million in January, or would you say that it's a risk doing that given the way we're playing at the moment?
That's a great question, and I think I would want to give him 100 million and bring in a better left winger, which I really do think that we need a proper left winger. But at the same time, I don't see Enoch and the board giving Frank 100 million in January to spend. I just
Okay,
don't
let's
see that happening.
David. Okay, let's just say two good players then. Let's just say two good players, not the money. Let's say you get a really good left winger and maybe a lone number 8 who's a bit more of a ball playing type midfielder, something like that. What would you spend that kind of money on Frank in January?
I would,
You would,
because I would like to see him succeed at Spurs, and I do think it's his first season, and it's just 16 games. But
that's fair enough.
at the same time, there's a part of me who doesn't want to give him that much money to spend. There's a part of me who just wants to see Thomas Frank succeed as the Spurs manager. But for the better, for Spurs, for the club, I don't want him to be given that much money, because I don't think he'll spend it wisely. I don't think we'll spend it wisely. We'll bring in some mediocre players. They might perform well the first few games, and then we'll go back to old ways.
Do you think the board are having this type of conversation where they're thinking, because
Definitely.
Because all the Twitter chat, and listen, I'm not a big fan of social media chat, but a lot of the chat online is Spurs are ready to go big in January.
Yeah, it's the same thing here every year, isn't it?
Waffle, right?
Yeah, absolute waffle. Well, look, it might be it might be true, and we know that the ownership, new ownership new face of the ownership anyway, and maybe they want to stamp their imprint on things, but. I believe it when I see it, kind of thing. I'm not buying into we're going to spend hundreds of millions in January. Unless maybe we sell one or two players, I don't think there's going to be massive outlays. Maybe one big signing. I don't see more than that, though. In my opinion, I'll be shocked if there's more than that.
I'm interested. David, do you think we can attract good players at the moment? Do you think
No.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
I'm sorry, but no way. And the rumours with Semenyo, we're not getting Semenyo. He's staying at Bournemouth. I don't think we'll go back in for Lookman. He'll stay in Atalanta, I think. And we're not a desirable club. We're just not, and that's the reality. I would love to think that Spurs are a top 6 club right now, but we're not, and it's a hard truth that we must face.
So what do we do moving forward? How do we change our fortunes?
It's a great question, and it's not looking very bright right now. It's not looking very, very good. We need a manager who... I'm not saying we should bring back Ange, but we need a manager who has one style of play, who knows that I'm going to play this type of way most games, and then if it comes to it, we might change. We need that type of manager. I think Ange was too extreme. He didn't want to change that much. But I think Frank, he's extreme, but on the other end of the scale, he changes too much.
No consistency.
We had Ange, and he was determined we're going to play this type of football the entire time, and I am so hard-headed, I'm not going to change the style of football we play. And now we've brought in Thomas Frank, who changes his tactics every single game. We've gone from one opposite to the other opposite, and we now need to meet in the middle. We need to find a manager who's in the middle.
Oh, this was such a mess.
or towards the middle.
Anyone in mind?
No, not at this moment. Who's free, and who would want to come to Spurs?
Great question. Great question. But look,
Yeah.
David, appreciate
Spot
your
on.
time. A lot of people
Spot on.
complimenting your Star Destroyer, by the way, in the background there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's yet to be finished. Yet to be finished.
Yeah,
Love the
pro-
show. Thank
trust
you
the
for having
process.
me on.
Trust the process.
Yeah, trust the process, David.
Trust the process.
Trust the process like with Spurs.
Big
Exactly.
up, David. Thanks for calling in, mate.
Thank you very much.
Big up, my man.
All right, you gonna love us and leave us?
Yeah, sorry guys, I've got a family memorial to go to. So listen, smash like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Sim, we'll speak soon.
Go and see more of Stel in the Spurs corner as well if you want to go and see more of him and show him some love. Big up, Stel. Thanks for coming.
Cheers,
and
guys.
watch along today.
Look after yourselves.
Shame we couldn't even get a goal, or we had one shot on target, but is what it is.
What can we do? What can we do?
He's had enough.
XG
Stel's
to the
had
max.
enough. Got some quotes here from Thomas Frank. He said, after the first goal, we lost structure and we were more disjointed. And then at 2-0, the goal killed off the game. Basically not in the game after that, in my opinion. And that's part of keeping the structure, keeping the game plan, keep going, keep doing the right things. So that's definitely not the first time. We've seen that this year or last year, whenever. That's something that's an ongoing work in progress before we're more consistent in that. Doesn't help that we made 2 mistakes with the first 2 goals, but again, that can happen in football. So we just need to keep going and do the right things so everything looks like they're doing the right way. He also was asked about bringing 2 defensive players on at 2-0 down. He said we had 4 offensive players on the pitch. I think that's fair to say. So I felt that just to go back to the bit before where I say we were disjointed. So if you're disjointed, you can have 11 offensive players on the pitch. It will not help. So we just need to be in sync, and then it helps. But hopefully we can find a way back after that. Didn't really help, I don't think, having those subs. But anyway, let's get Daniel on. Let's see what he's got to say for himself. Daniel, thanks for calling in, mate. How are we doing? Yeah, man.
What a terrible game. What a terrible, terrible game. Sorry, my voice is... Can you hear me properly?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah,
It's all good.
yeah.
Back to kind of square one after a really positive performance last week, isn't it, Daniel? What do we? How do you assess today after, Spurs fans are hoping for some positive momentum after last week?
You know what it is? Because I remember we were gassed about the Brentford game. We were happy and stuff. But I remember calling and I was saying that against a team that's gonna offer like the same level of quality, or if not better, they would. I don't know why, but they always find the way to beat us. And I think it's just simply because of the. I think it's because of the coach, but also because they know how to play better than us. But also as well, because of the goals, because of the way it happened today, with the way that they scored, we seem to have players that have like they have like attributes that cost us games, attributes that lose us games, like Pedro Porro, for example. I don't know, he's good on the ball, I get it, his delivery is good, but why is it that he's so bad at defending at a point that it costs us games? And I don't know why every time, like someone like when we played Chelsea, Garnacho had a good game against him.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I was gonna say against PSG, what's his name? What's the Georgian's name? Skelly had a good game as well. What was the guy against Leeds? The one that we won 2-1. What's the game? He scored. Okafor had a good game against him as well. He's good on the ball. Pedro Porro is good at delivering, but he has this attribute that's like when he's so bad at defending, it costs us games. And it's the same with Vicario. He's good at keeping. He saves us shots, but he's so bad on the ball that it comes to a point where he costs us games. He shouldn't have passed grade that ball. And I think it's because he's not a keeper he's not a ball playing keeper. He's not a keeper that's good on the ball. So he wouldn't even know in the first place that he should have passed grade that ball. He was almost in the middle of a triangle of Nottingham Forest players. And he had that free right hand side to give it to Romero and Pedro Porro. He passed it to Gray. He got pressed out, and it's 1-0 to them.
So do you blame Vicario more than Gray for the goal?
100%. He shouldn't have passed it to Gray. Sangara's right behind him, and he had players. He had what's his name? What's that guy's name? Who was their right winger again? Who was it? He had Igor Jesus was pressing Vicario. Sangara's
Hutchinson.
pressing Gray, and I think it was Hutchison or Gibbs White was on the right hand side. He like there was nowhere for him to go apart from the right, which was where Vicario should have played the ball in the first place. But even at that,
He was
even
asked. Frank was asked, was there any issue with the keeper for you for the goal? He said no. I think you see that every week in the Premier League from every team all over the world. So there's no problem with that.
yeah, but that happens with Vicario a lot more than all the other all the other keepers that are on our level and are trying to get to our level. If you get what I'm saying. Like he does. I remember you used to say that he wins us points, he saves us points more than he costs us, but a keeper shouldn't be costing you points in the first place. Like look at someone like Onana, for example. The reason why he was one of the worst keepers in the league was because he was costing his team points. That's why they finished eighth with -1 goal difference. That's crazy, by the way, eighth with -1 goal difference. But they finished eighth with -1 goal difference because of him. Muric at Burnley that got relegated. Muric was better than Onana simply because Onana costs his team points. He's causing errors that's leading to the other team scoring against us. You see what I'm saying? He's a good goalkeeper, Vicario, but like to make that step up, he needs to get better on the ball, or else he's looking to get replaced. And I feel like Frank's gonna do it. That's why that journalist probably asked him that question because I feel like it's a noticeable weakness in his game. That's at a detriment to our squad. Same thing with Pedro Porro. I don't know why everybody's having a good game against him. I don't know why someone like Garnacho's having a good game against him. It's
We
so
we
annoying.
we conceded a lot of another 2 goals from outside the box today.
Oh my
Which is
days.
becoming a theme. What again? Do you blame Vicario for it? Does it again the
No,
tactics
no, no. I think it's
allowing
the
shots
tactic.
from
That
outside?
one, that one. No, no, no. Because it's a pattern. If it's a pattern, then it's obviously the tactic. It's the coach not noticing what to do. It's a pattern. The goals that Eze scored was in the middle. The goals that the goals today was in the middle. The goals that is that Tina we faced again. Goals that
What?
Fulham scored.
Yeah.
The goal that Aston Villa scored. Sorry, Buendia and Rogers. That was in the middle. You know, it's a pattern that all these guys that were scoring from edge of the box goals. I don't know why Frank doesn't just. I don't know why he doesn't play like a straight middle, like a straight six that just covers that space. Because if you've got someone covering that space, you know, it blocks the amount of it blocks the amount of chances that they can, blocks the amount of vision that those tens that they got are shooting from edge of the box for them to score. But even at that, I do agree with you and what was his name, the other guy that was with you today.
Still.
I do kind of agree. I agree with you guys on the situation that we're at right now at Tottenham because we can't. Thomas Frank has got a better set of players, and he's got a better set of players than the previous manager, that Ange had. And the reason why he's been brought in and been given a better set of players is because the board believes that he's going to do better than Ange, in every single aspect. And I don't make it seem like I'm giving him mercy a bit, but it's not fair on Frank because we should have never. What metric do we have to say he's going to do better than a manager that's finished fifth in the Premier League? Fair enough. The following season, he did finish 17th with 20 losses, but he also reached the semi-final of a Carabao Cup and the finals of the Europa League and eventually winning. And Thomas Frank now has to do better than that man, do better than what that manager did. Not just be better than 17th in the league, but he also has to do better than, semi-final of a Carabao Cup and do better than a final of Europa League. I don't know how he's gonna do that. I don't know like what metric they judge it off, but
I think just
it's
improving the league form would have to
yeah,
make
but
up for it. 'Cause you're not expected to win the
it,
Champions League.
yeah, but how much improvement are you gonna do in the league form to the point where you're now better than the guy that won a trophy of a club that doesn't win trophies?
Has to get us back into Europe.
But what, like, it's okay, is confident when you say get us back into Europe, then if he wins the FA Cup and then finishes 17th, is that okay then?
Probably not. No, he'll probably get
If
sacked.
okay, even let me not say 17th because that might be extreme, but if he finishes in the bottom half of the table with an FA Cup, what's going to happen to him? Is he going to stay? Because I don't
Ooh.
think we're going to get Europe with the way that we're moving.
Yeah, neither do I at the moment, the way we're playing. If he wins an FA Cup on bottom half, does the club does the club keep him? I reckon they might do. You know, they might keep him if he wins the FA Cup.
Okay, and then the following, then will they now give him 100 million now to spend? Because
Yeah, I
they
don't know.
already, they don't like they've all already shown like how much they like the league form. I guess because of the revenue and stuff. I don't know how much revenue they get from that, but I know it's a lot more than all the other competitions. So would they now back him now if he gets FA Cup and finishes in the bottom half of the table? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't
Like
know.
how far can Thomas Frank actually take us? These set of players.
Great question. He
How
says
far
though,
can he actually
he
take us?
says though, if no one gets the time, no one can turn this around. This is not a quick fix. That is
He
what
said
Frank
that.
has said. Frank, that's a quote from Frank today.
Yeah, but again, this is what I'm saying is also not fair on him because I don't. The reason why I wanted Anjin, yeah, was because he did the most with the least. The quality of players that he had to win that Europa League and reach a semi-final of that cup. It's one of the when we look at it, those set of players, those set of individuals that he had, it's probably some of the worst players that we've had in the post-Poch era. I would say in that lineup, in his strongest team. You have to remember his two summers that he had. His major signings was Brennan Johnson and Solanke. Those guys have already been replaced. Under Thomas Frank, those guys have already been replaced. But even what Thomas Frank just said about a quick fix, I questioned the board like, what did they bring him in for then? Because I don't think he was brought in for a project. I think he was brought in to improve the situation. Because if he was brought in for a project, we wouldn't splash cash on Xavi Simmons and Colomwani and Kudus and Paulinho and players like these guys that are that they're just supposed to come in and immediately improve the situation. Those guys are not project players, are they? Maybe
I
Xavi
agree with
Simmons
you.
because of his
I agree.
age.
He was meant to be a bit of a quick fix. The whole point of Frank
Exactly.
was he's adaptable. He works with what he's got. He can
Exactly.
get results quickly.
Exactly. I don't think he was. If the board wanted a project, I think they would have stuck with. And going back to what that guy said, I think the first caller, he was like, "Is there a situation in football where managers could come in and
Change
change
it.
the culture?" Okay, I guess we did kind of see it under Ange, and they did sack him for that. But then don't think Frank was supposed to be the guy to change the culture or bring in a project or a philosophy. I think he was just
Yeah.
supposed to come in and get results.
Yeah,
And
he's
he's now
the
not doing
tactics
that.
guy, isn't he? He's the guy who
Exactly.
puts like different tactical systems and gets data analysis. I don't know if he's more about culture and winning culture and dealing with big egos and that kind of thing. I agree with you on that.
Also, it doesn't help his case at Brentford because Brentford sold everybody, including him. It gave the set piece manager the job, and look at them.
And they're still doing all right. Yeah.
Exactly. They're not going to get relegated.
No.
They're not going to get relegated, those guys. So it's
It
looking a
begs the
bit.
question: how difficult was that job? Yeah, I guess.
Exactly.
But,
Exactly. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think we're going to get Europe under him, if I'm honest. I don't think we're going to get Europe. I don't think we're going to get Europe, but like, I don't think we should. I think we're just going to have to like just trust the process and put it into him.
yeah.
If we were going to sack him, if we were going to sack him and now get a manager to change the culture and philosophy, go back to that, I'd probably say we're just going to have to get Xavi.
Get
Because of what he did
Xavi.
at Barcelona.
Yeah, just give that a punt. See if he's willing to come.
I don't even think he's going to come. I don't
Get him
even
and
think he's
get
going
us
to come.
playing some tiki taka.
Listen, we need it. We need it. We need it.
Come on.
We need it, man.
I'll take it at this point. Look, Daniel, appreciate you calling in, mate. Thanks for your
Thank you, man.
time.
Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Spurs.
See you in a bit. Appreciate you calling in. Let's keep. Is there any more quotes from Frank coming out? So he did say, he says he was asked, will he get time to sort Tottenham out? And he says, I can't see why not. I think it's pretty evident that if no one gets the time, no one can turn this around. This is not a quick fix. He's also asked about Jed Spence, his reaction to coming off. And he said, "You're the third one that said that to me today. I didn't see it. Of course, I'll look back and be aware of it. I think there can be three reasons. He can be disappointed with his own performance, the team's performance, and he can be disappointed with being subbed off. I'll ask him about it." There's a picture doing the rounds of Spence giving Frank daggers on the sidelines as well, which doesn't look great. But maybe it's just frustration with his own performance. Let's see what David has to say. Good to see you, David.
Hey.
Thanks for calling in.
You too, Sim. How you doing?
Yeah, far cry from the days of we were talking about Ange and talking about whether he's in or out. Now we're talking about Frank and what we think about his current status. Now he said whoever's in charge needs time. No one's going to turn this around without time because this is not a quick fix. What do you think about those quotes?
I don't think he's going to be the manager next season. I think he's a dead man walking. Whether it's now or later, I don't know, but I don't think he's going to be the manager. And then the question becomes, well, what are the goals for this season, and what are the goals for next season? I don't think there's any chance of being relegated. Mm-hmm. I don't see Frank getting us into Europe. So at this stage, it could be any manager. Next season, the problem is if we don't get into Europe, then we can't get good players next season because they all want to get the good players. You need to be playing in Europe. Mm-hmm. So it's not. It doesn't affect just this season. It affects the next season as well.
Yeah, I agree. So you think he's a dead man walking, but he says he needs time. Do you think that time could possibly fix this problem that we have? Do you think 16 games in the Premier League is enough time to know whether a manager is working or not, or do you think it's too early to judge him properly in terms of his job stability?
I think we can judge that we don't know where he's going. Like most managers, when they come in, you can see what they're trying to do, and you can see if it's going to fit. I don't think he's the right fit for. I think he's a nice guy. I think he's a good fit for another club, but I don't think he's the right manager for Tottenham. You need a front-footed manager, whether it's Pochettino, Ange. Lots of people don't have issues with Ange, but people have issues with Pochettino as well. But I think that style, some kind of front-footed manager, is what Tottenham fans want to see, and it's also the football I want to watch. Like, with Ange, I always felt, even when we were down 3-0, I always thought, you know what, we might still score 4 goals. Mm-hmm. We're down 1-0 with Thomas Frank, and I go, we're not coming back.
Well, what do you think? He said today, which I thought was quite a peculiar quote, because they scored their second goal straight away after half time, didn't they? So there's still a fair amount of time left in the game at 2-0. And he said, after the first goal, I think we lost structure, we were more disjointed, and then the 2-0 goal killed the game off. Basically, we were not in the game after that. But isn't that quite a peculiar thing to say when they scored the second goal on 50 minutes? So there's quite a lot of the game left. That should not kill the game, should it?
Well, it does if you take off one of your forwards and put another defender on. Like, his entire approach is very defensive for me. I never feel excited. I never feel like, he brought on Bergvall. But even Bergvall, like Archie Gray, and look, we all have bad games. I've got no issue with Archie. He's a young guy. He was put under pressure. He made a mistake. It happens. But then he got a yellow card just before half time, and he was looking flustered. And that's all good. I'm glad that he gave him some time after the mistake to kind of get back on the horse, if you will. But he should have been taken off at half time because he was on a yellow card. He was looking flustered. He wasn't looking, relaxed. And you've got other players who can come on and be a bit more forward playing, who aren't feeling flustered about the first 45 minutes, so they're going to relax and get into the game themselves. And so I was surprised he waited so long. Well, it wasn't that long. It was like 15 minutes before he brought Bergvall on. But to me, he should have been off at half time. And just because he was having a bad day, we all have bad days. The best player in the world has a bad day. You take them off, and okay, we'll play next time. But let me ask you this: what do you think is the way? if I'm right, and I think that Frank is not the guy for next season, what's the way forward? What do you get another manager who can maybe get us into Europe this season by improving the performances a bit for this season, so at least then we can attract some better players? Do you put in an interim manager and wait until we can get a good coach in the next break? What do you think is the best decision right now in terms of?
Unfortunately, look, for me, look, I wanted Ange to stay, and I wanted him at the back end of last season to stay in the job just to see what he could do this season. So we made that.
I think he's available.
He is available, but we made that decision to sack him. You know what? I would be open to it. But anyway, it's a question for another time, unfortunately. But I think, unfortunately, we made our bed and we just got off the line it, I think. And I think we just got to hope he can turn it around. I think we made that decision, which was a big decision to sack Ange after winning the trophy. And we went with Thomas Frank, who was he was kind of the face of this new Tottenham, this new rebuild that we're doing, and new ENIC and all that kind of stuff. And I think they made their bed, and I don't think it's a quick fix. I agree with Frank, it's not a quick fix, and in the sense that I don't think just looking at who's available and just going for anyone at this point is going to fix things mid-season when the games are coming thick and fast and you're going to ask managers to implement new systems, all this kind of stuff. I think last time we did it was obviously Nuno, but I think there are two elements to why it worked. First of all, there was a world-class coach in Conte just sitting there ready and waiting, and second of all, we were in the Conference League, not the Champions League, so we could afford to basically rest a lot of players. And also we exited that Conference League in the group stage rather than having a whole season of it. So we actually didn't have 2 games a week. So Conte actually had time on the training ground to implement what he was going to do and implement his ideas. The problem we have now is any new manager coming in is not going to have the time on the training pitch to implement his idea. He's not going to have the pre-season Frank did to implement his tactics. So he's going to be also under pressure very quickly in a race against time to implement his ideas. Ange obviously had a pre-season, which is why we got going pretty quickly. But I think any new manager, it's going to take a lot of time for them to get going because they're going to have to implement even new ideas. So I think you're going to have to give Frank to the end of the season, probably, unless it gets so bad like we get dragged into a relegation fight. I think you're just going to have to give him to the end of the season, then assess it and see if he can turn it around and go our separate ways in the summer, which I think is probably looking like the likely at this point. But I don't know if you can change it right now. I think we've just laid our bed. I don't know if there is unless you want to go with an interim. But is there any point? You might as well hope Frank turns it around than hoping an interim turns it around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess for me, I don't see any evidence of. I don't like watching this football. It's very defensive.
I agree.
I don't even know. I don't know what our attack was. I mean, our defense is not bad, but
we just conceded 3 goals to 17th place Forest.
Yeah, and all. Yeah, we got no midfield and we got individuals, but we don't seem to have. I didn't see. From what I could tell, we had the ball, and whenever the ball was near our backs, they just thought, okay, we'll figure out a way to go long to Richie, who's surrounded by 4 players, by the way, but let's hope he gets the ball. And that seemed to be our attack. And we got no midfield. We got players, but they don't seem to know how to work. I never know what they're trying to do with the ball, and there's no movement. There's no, I don't know. So to me, I guess, yeah, look, I don't really mind if Frank is in or out. The only reason for me to take him out now would be if somebody could get us sufficiently together to get us back into European spots in some form before the end of the year. But if we can't do that, then there's no point. And then the only other thing I'd say is next season when we try and get a new manager, I think we need to aim higher. We forget we were a top 6 club and haven't been the last few years. But we've had some incredible. We've had Modric, Kane, Sonny, Bale. All these players have come through. Christensen. And we seem to have forgotten that at the moment. So why are we looking for mid-level managers? Managers are way, way cheaper than players. Mm-hmm. Let's get Pep Guardiola. Let's get the top manager in the world who's going to come here.
I think you might be overboard with that one.
Yeah, he's been. But to me, that's the ambition. Like, why is our ambition a mid-table ambition? We should be getting. It's still cheaper than getting the top players. The managers are one of the cheaper elements. So get one of the top inspiring managers and get him to change the culture. But it's got to be front. To me, it's got to be front forward manager. But aim for the top and start at the top. You can't get Pep. Okay, who's number 2? Who's number 3? Let's aim for the top manager we can get, not some guy who might be a bit cheaper and see if he can turn stuff around. That's not ambitious to me. So I get a bit frustrated with the mentality of what are we trying to achieve? Are we trying to be a mid-level team, or are we trying to be a top team? If you want to be a top team, you've got to get the top manager and have him change the culture. Or the top manager you can get, at least.
God, it's so difficult to know where we go from here. But look, David, appreciate your time. Yeah. Appreciate you calling.
But that was hard to watch today, man.
It was very, very hard to watch. I hope you try and enjoy the rest of your weekend. But it's tough.
Yeah, thank you.
Very, very
and just
tough.
quickly, the win against Brentford, we didn't play that well. Brentford were dreadful. So I think it was a bit of an anomaly there as well.
It's looking more and more likely like that, isn't it, at the moment? Because that seems to be a one-off performance for us, isn't it?
Very nice. Good to talk to you, Sim.
Nice to see you, David. I'll see you soon.
See you guys.
That was David. Let's keep going. We have, let me see some more quotes here. From Frank. No. The press conference should be out on the channel shortly. All right, let's keep going with the fans. Let's get Eric on. Hey, Eric.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, thanks for calling in, mate. Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm trying to piece together why this is happening. So right now, had a good result last week against Brentford. We seem to have turned a corner. And we're right back to square one. What do you think happened?
I think, kind of like the last guy said, I think Brentford were terrible. And I also think that we're kind of seeing the accumulation of too many managers and lackluster transfer windows. And now we just have a jumble of systems. And now we have this flexible guy. And it's just guys running around doing random stuff. Like, I don't even know what I'm watching.
So you think too many changes?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think our best midfield is Gray and Bergvall, which is sad because they're both under 20, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Unless Bergvall just turned 20. I think the biggest thing for me, though, today, which is why I'm just not sure if Frank's the guy, kind of like you said with the 2-0 quote. He said 2-0, the game was gone, and to me the subs looked like he was just trying not to get beat, like, badly. Like, he's at 2-0 with about 40 minutes left. I think it was around the 50th minute. He decided, I think this game's pretty much gone. Let's not get cooked. And I think that was really negative because to me, one of my better memories as a Spurs fan was, I think it was a Brentford or Bournemouth game 2 years ago. We set the record for the latest comeback in the Premier League with a Kulusevski goal in like 90 plus 11. I'm not sure if you remember that game.
Sheffield United.
Sheffield, yes. So that game we started the comeback after looking poor all game at like the 90 plus 7. And this guy decided that the 50th minute the game was gone to Nottingham Forest. Like, I'm sorry, I just don't. That's just not the reality, I think. We should be looking to have in a manager that I actually think, because we had the whole 100-point metric and all that. Like, I think this guy was supposed to be here for the long term, and I'm not sure that's the kind of manager I want here for the long term with that kind of mentality.
So, but he said, Frank, today, this is not a quick fix. He said no manager can't turn it around without time. So, what do you think about that?
I actually 100% agree because I think if you remember, when Arteta came to Arsenal, they started out around like the 13th, 14th after I think like 10 or so games, and they turned it around. But I think the difference is when I watched Arsenal play in that stint when they were pretty poor. They had like a tactical foundation that they could adapt to and change, and I could see what they were trying to do from the get-go. And in January, they found some players they deemed to be the problem. I think that January they got rid of Aubameyang and maybe Lacazette too in the same window. I don't remember. They found key players that they said we need to get rid of, and then they found key players to replace them over time, and I could just see the foundation being built, and now look at where they are. Whereas here, I don't see a foundation. Like, I don't see a system. We go from playing super offensive I mean, defensive, and the fans are like, oh, let's play more attacking. We do, and then here, like, we put out a similar lineup, and I think our only shot on goal was Gray's spinning
Yeah,
volley, 18 yards.
which was
So, like,
never going in. Yeah.
I just don't see what's being built.
But what would you say to people who say it's the players' fault? They're just not good enough. You know, Gray makes a mistake for the first goal. You know, Vicario, should he do better with that cross that goes all the way in? Like, are these players just not up to it? What do you think about that? Fans
I
who
think
say that.
as good as some people think. I also don't think it's as bad as some people think. I think the lineup I would like to like. I think we're better than 13th, or are we 11th? Because I know
11th
Newcastle.
at the moment, yeah.
We're 11th. I think we're better than 11th with the squad we have, but I think I would like to see Tell on the left, Colomwani up top, and Bergvall and Gray with Simons in the middle. I think that's what I would like to see kind of going into the next game. We'll see where that lands us. I do think Gray was really good, and I actually do not think the goal was his fault at all. I think Vicario played him a hospital ball and didn't. I could see his mouth not move, and the thing like there, if you play that ball, you better say man on, no turn, out wide, one touch, something like that. Where he played that ball silent. Gray has no idea what's coming, and he had two easy options to just completely avoid that goal.
Frank said that the goal was not Vicario's fault. He said he didn't blame Vicario for the goal. He said Gray shouldn't have taken a touch, and he should have played it first time.
So I mean, I agree, but like for Gray to not take a touch, someone has to be telling him. Like, I know your 6 is supposed to look behind and all that, but like I didn't see anyone on the field tell him that, oh, you have a man coming or something like that, which I think communication's a key part, and I didn't see any of that. So when you don't tell a guy and he gives the ball away, I feel like it's hard to throw him under the bus. And I also don't like that Frank basically just threw him under the bus. But
so how do we? So for you, do you think he needs to go like immediately? Do you think it's like that his time has come, or do you want to see him get more time?
I don't think it's immediate because I don't think it gets better immediately. The problem is I think people are saying like, oh, let's see what we get in January. Just give him the end of the season and then we'll work it out in the summer. I think the problem is, like I've already talked about, the accumulation of lackluster transfer windows. And I think so we get to January, we're 11th. We're not in a relegation battle, but we're probably not going to get to Europe. Like, what player's going to really want to come to Spurs? And then over the summer, you decide, okay, it's time to spend now. We finished 9th. Like, what player is going to want to come to Spurs at that point? Because, like, most of the big names want to play in the Champions League, and when you're in nothing, or like the Conference League, I don't see us attracting the big names to improve the roster. I think you've seen teams like Liverpool, Arsenal, City, like the constant Champions League money, which is so much even for just making it, that they're able to spend and bring in the big players. That when you lose that basically free 100 million from just making the Champions League, like you really, like your roster really starts to dwindle. And I think you're kind of seeing that with Manchester United, because their roster has definitely dwindled since they've not been in the Champions League. And don't want the same thing to happen to us, but I'm not sure we can solve that now, just given the state of the season. Like, the season's not that early. We're almost halfway through. We're already out of the carousel. We'll see where we end up in the Champions League. Like, we're not going to win that.
And we're getting further and further in the league now in terms of away from the European spots.
We'll talk about how tight the league is. Like it's kind of spreading out. What's the gap on 4th or 5th place? Because we'll probably win the extra spot.
We're 4 points from 5th.
Yeah, and like that gap's small, but like I just don't see it turning around quickly. Really at all.
We've conceded, and people, we've conceded now 13 goals in our last 6 games.
Yeah, so that's the other issue. For example, like Sean Dyche, notoriously a defensive manager, he kept a clean sheet. Frank seems to be trying to play this defensive system, but we're conceding so many goals in the Premier League, and I don't see that being counteracted on the attacking side. For example, because Ange, he played this super attacking, so it's like I think David said, when we went 2-3-0 down, kind of like the Sheffield game, I was like, we could still go score 2-3 goals and tie it up. and this guy says the game's gone after 2. So I'm like, I don't get that mentality to take you forward. And he's already made comments about, don't forget this team finished 17th last year. Like, if we go from 17th, we finish 12th this year, that's not progress to me. Like, that's a same season just without a trophy, if that makes sense.
I agree. And yeah, look, there's big question marks at the moment about the direction we're going, because I really thought a lot of people were hopeful after we made some good strides last week, but it's like we're all back to square one and we're all feeling the same thing now as we were. And now you're starting to think, was that Brentford game just a one-off? But look, Eric, appreciate your time. Appreciate you calling in, mate. And please do call in again. It was a good call.
All right, cool. Yep,
Thank you.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on. That was Eric. Now let's go to the king. Let's get Wes on. Hey, Wes.
Hey,
how are you, man? Yeah, man.
I am, everything. Pissed off.
You are everything.
Yeah, like I think all of us are everything right now because of the situation. It's just, what we're seeing on the pitch is just it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's like these guys, our team. Every time now we play teams, we play in a sense where the other team looks like they know how to play and they've been playing forever, like you would think a professional player would be playing, and then we look like we just never been on the pitch at all, and we're just not professional players. We look like a Sunday league team. Like you saw, they were doing Olays on us, man.
They're 17th. And you know what? And Sean Dyche, he came in after Frank. So how much time has he had?
Like barely none, because they just fired Ange. Like he's only been there for maybe a month now. Couple weeks, Ange just got fired. So he came in the middle of the season and he's already got them playing a certain system. He got them playing a actual identity type of system. And for Frank, he doesn't know what the hell to do with this team. He doesn't know, because the players. I think one thing that stands out. I think is that. Well, maybe from just two players. I think both the center backs, I think Romero and Van de Ven are clearly class players. And, sooner or later, they're going to probably want to leave. And you're not going to want to blame them because of the situation. If this continues, though. But it's clear that we got too many players that are too similar level. But the level is shit. It's like too many of the players. Because anybody can start. There's no clear favorites, that they are clear that, hey, you're going to, they just have to start going. The only two we can say that is our center backs, The goalkeeper, I'm not with Vicario. Vicario, he's losing me, man, because he doesn't have no offensive ability. And today's modern football, you need a goalkeeper that can pass the ball. That's how this passing the back system works nowadays. Every goalkeeper got to be able to pass, got to be able to create something out of nothing. From free kicks from the goalkeeper kicks and everything like that. And Vicario doesn't have it. He passed right to Gray in a situation where Gray kind of was fucked either way. Like it's either he was going to pass to the left like he was about to do, but the windup he was a little too slow on that. He probably just didn't think that there was somebody just up on his heels already. He probably thought he had time to go ahead and make that pass. It would have been a simple pass. It wasn't like something he hasn't never done before, but he got called out that point because the player actually made an actual effort to press him, and it worked out for him. But at the end of the day, he did pass him a ball that was kind of in an interesting area, because what if a couple other players was in that area and Archie Gray would have been surrounded, and then they would have lost the ball right there with another high-pressing team, So it's just, but Vicario should have noticed that. He should have seen that, okay, he's kind of covered. I might as well just kick it downfield. You don't have to always play out the back. Sometimes I understand if the coach is telling them something, they want to go with what the manager is telling them. But sometimes you got to just make your own decisions on the field yourself, because you're the player. And at the end of the day, the manager doesn't control you. That's not a video game. At the end of the day, you got to just make decisions and see what you see as a professional player. And he should have saw in that moment, he should never pass him the ball right there. But at any other time, that would have been just a normal pass. Archie Gray would have passed it to the left. He would have passed it to Romero. Romero would have started off the back line of us playing out the back. But just that time he got caught out. You really just can't So I can't blame Archie Gray because I don't blame him at all. He actually tried.
But can you blame Frank for that though?
Yeah, a little bit. It's just that a little bit. I really don't know because it's just I don't like how we're playing. I don't know what we're playing either. I don't know what we are. I don't know if we're trying to do we're not counterattacking, but we're also not being ultra offensive. We're just a mess.
I'm also not being defensive because we're conceding 3 goals.
Yeah, if we are being defensive, it's not working. Like we let shots outside the box, like it's just open season. It's just an open bank for other teams to just shoot outside the box and get free shots. And Vicario, he's not. Everybody keeps saying Vicario is such a great shot stopper, and I guess on his day he does do that, and in high situation moments he can do that, but. I think for like at least this last couple months, he hasn't really been that. He doesn't save a penalty worth shit. Like, have you seen him save a penalty?
Yeah, no. But can you criticize a keeper for not saving a penalty?
Great penalty. Hey, there's great goalkeepers who are known to stop penalties, and they really do their homework on knowing which way a player favors and stuff like that. And Vicario, I've seen this since he does penalties. He's missed. He's gets wrong at every single one.
Frank said
it's like
today,
he's not doing his homework.
Frank said today we had 25 unforced errors on the pitch. We gave away the ball. The team did 25 times.
Our passing is trash. Yeah, that's come from.
But he seemed to be blaming the players for that. Implying when he says it's hard to do anything when you're giving the ball away 25 times.
It's not like it's on pretty much everybody. It's on everybody. Like the players are playing like crap because they can't make a 1-yard pass. So that hurts. That makes his system looks worse than what it probably even would be if he had more, I guess, comp to play. Even though the players that he has on hand are not bad players. At the end of the day, they're playing bad, so it makes it look even worse when he's putting out.
But when it's a pattern, like we've seen a lot of games this season, very similar to today. In terms of the chances we created, no one has created less against Forest than we did today. For Forest. So, is that where we are? Are we, should we be that low? Are we that bad that we created the lowest that Forest have conceded this season?
I don't know. It's so frustrating, and it's so frustrating because for some you could say it's about effort. We're not putting us effort in. And you did see that after, like I say, after the first goal, we started to walk around the pitch. We really did. We started to jog around. That last goal, the third goal, Xavi, he had an opportunity to get in front of that defender. He did not. He was walking, and he could have been knackered and all that kind of jazz. But at the end of the day, if he's already been getting so much pressure already. He knows in himself that he needs to just put in like 200% and make it, it's not going to be me that's going to be the reason why we're losing. He was trying. He doesn't have no options whenever he does get the ball. So you can say that's not really on him a lot of times. But there's certain moments where, like, one moment where they take the gas off certain individual players, it messes up the rest of the system. Which happens in football. If one player leaves out a man or they get out of position because they thought they could go on a run and then now they're out of position, that's an advantage for the other team. A lot of this is tactical and strategy type stuff. And if that happens, it's like a ricochet. It's like a domino effect. And that can kill, especially if you're already playing poorly as a team, that could just completely like take you out. And that's what happened. One player, and I'm not just saying that moment, but that's one of the moments I remember is Xavi, he was walking at the edge of the penalty box, and then player had a shot and he made it. And he could have, if he put in a little bit more effort and got in front of that man, that probably would not have happened, that third goal. But that's just one moment. I'm not just saying it's going to just be on Xavi, but that's just one moment. And it goes to other players in different situations throughout these last couple of weeks. It's just certain individual stuff. Kudus, he holds on to the ball too long. As great as we've been claiming him, he holds that ball way too long. And Mwani's having that same kind of thinking too. And that may be because maybe they think the players around him just can't do it. And they're like, they probably did that before and it just ends up being a turnover. So they're like, okay, I'm going to do it myself. Like, because these players clearly can't do anything with me. It may be on that sense, or that could just be how he plays. And the coach got to get that out of him to play a little bit more to the system, whatever that system is. But it's ridiculous. And then everybody get on Richarlison, and Richarlison, he's trash. He didn't do anything up top. But then again, I look at that game and you look back at it, I'm like, what did you give him? Like, what did you give him to do anything? He showed that he can score goals. He showed that he has sometimes it's worldy. He sometimes scored, so he can score. But are you going to give him the chance? And that's why everybody talking about this chance creation. We don't create enough chances. We may have one or two moments, and then people blame Richarlison because he didn't finish them. But those would be the only 2 chances of the whole game. And it's like that's not how a good team. If we want to be a top 6 or whatever, that's not top 6 behavior. Only creating a couple chances while we giving teams like 10 or 15. And even if it is just half chances, it's chances at the end of the day. And I think the more Richarlison have chances, I think he will get a goal. I think he showed that he can get a goal if he's giving multiple opportunities. He got to have at least, for him, I think he has to give at least, he got to get at least like 5. But, he has to get at least 5 chances to even get 1 goal for him. That may not be good enough, but of course we're going to need a better striker. But I think for him, for what kind of player he is, he needs about 5 or 6 chances to get a goal.
Frank said, though, it's not a quick fix. He needs time to turn it around. No manager can turn it around without time. That's what he said after the game. So does he deserve more time? Do you think he needs more time? What's your feeling on that? Oh, and camera's falling. There you go.
Yeah.
But what do you think about that?
It's the truth. Like I said this before a couple weeks ago. It's not going to be a quick turnaround, and we're just going to keep going into the same history. Like how it's been these last 5 years of, changing managers over and over and over and expecting things to change. That's the definition of insanity. And we can't keep doing that. If this new figures at the head of the club want to make this a new era of Tottenham, they're going to have to stick to what they choose and who they decided to hire. And Frank was who they decided to hire. They need to give him a window, and they got to give him a very good window. I don't know how much money we could even spend. I don't even know how many players that are of actual quality are actually available, except for if we can get them on loan. But we're going to have to do whatever necessary. If it is on loan, then that's what we need to do to improve us to at least finish decently in the league so we can do better in the summer. We got to think like that. We just got to get whoever we can get of quality, have whoever we can, even if it's not long-term deals. If we're not in the league ever, he's not going to be looking to shortchange and, we're going to pay for this player next year. Like, no, we can't do that. It's just get quality players in so we can at least do good this season. Because if we don't finish in a decent area, nobody in the summer is going to come here. Just point blank in the period, because we're not going to be in the Champions League. So we need to be in at least a decent position. It has to be somewhere and where players are still going to want to be okay with coming here. And then we're going to have to probably pay a good amount of wages to even get those kind of players to come here. And that's going to already be a dividend in itself. But at the end of the day, we got to do it, But we can't finish poorly this year. We can't finish in 17th or in double digits in the league. We just can't. Or we're not going to get the players we're asking to have at this club that should be at this club. But we're paying crazy ticket prices like we're one of the best teams, and we're not. It's ridiculous. And then wonder why fans are upset and not showing up. It's like, one, you got us paying. And I haven't even paid a ticket price yet. I never even went to a game yet. I hope to do it one day. But for you guys who go all the time, y'all paying crazy ticket prices to see that crap, and then you got the team saying, it's like we should be sticking together with them, and that's cool. But all the other stuff doesn't match with that. Sorry, tough titties, I guess. I don't know, but that's not going to work, bro. Especially not here. We're just not that kind of club. Sorry. But it's just this stuff is not going to work for us. So, we can't get rid of Frank. So I'm not Frank out, but he's not giving me any hope. He's not doing anything to endear me that, hey, you're definitely gonna take us forward and take us to great heights. But we kind of got just no choice, because what other manager we're gonna bring in after him? Everybody's saying Pochettino's at USA. Sorry, if y'all think y'all just gonna pull him from USA, it's not gonna happen.
After the World Cup, interim until after the World Cup.
But it won't be another year from now. Then by that point, the club has to make a decision on who's actually available at that time they're available. So he's at a coaching job at the moment. He's probably not worried about this right now. He's probably looking at it from afar, but he's not worried about Tottenham right now. He's worried about what he's worried about. And, he could, like I said, he could do both, but I don't know when the last time a manager has been able to do the national team coach and be a coach of a club. I haven't seen that in a little bit. It's happened in history, but it happens very rarely. So that we just don't have no other backup plans after Frank. So we're going to have to stick with them. But this is when the team comes to point. This is where the hierarchy, this new hierarchy. This is when they come in and say, okay, we're going to back who we chose. And the only way to back him is to actually get him the players he needs to play the system that he's trying to figure out to play. But he needs to really figure out what kind of system he's trying to play. But I think he really can't because of how dynamic the team is changing, how dynamic forms are changing week to week, and then the mistakes that's just happening on the pitch that is kind of low-key out of his control. But at the end of the day, the system, how we're playing, is not helping the players. Yeah. So it's a whole bunch of different factors. It's ridiculous.
Wes, appreciate your time, mate. Thanks for calling in. Good to see you. And hopefully better time, hopefully better luck next time, eh? Hopefully you're calling in with better circumstances.
I almost lost my voice going on that rant, but come on, you Spurs.
Come on.
We're going to keep supporting.
Big up. And from one guy who's nearly lost his voice to two guys who I'm sure have lost their voice, let's bring them on. They don't look too happy. Let's get Ben and Brian, who have been at the game. They have been in the away end today up in Nottingham. Where are you guys at the moment? Where are you calling from?
Doesn't matter where we're calling from.
All right. No, need to know basis. Tell me what
we're on our way back. We're on our way back to London. We've just stopped off for some food and some drinks. No, don't tell the truth. We've gone on a 2.5-hour journey to collect a free scarf, and now we're making our way back. Yeah,
I think nothing else happened. Nothing else happened.
That's
probably must be. You know what? I was listening, obviously, to the commentary and stuff, and for the first, half at least, or 20 minutes or whatever, all I could hear was the Tottenham fans. They were in great spirits. They were, doing their bit. They were very, very loud. Tell me what it was like in the away end. Tell me being there.
Yeah, look, you know what it's like, Tottenham away. The fans always bring the atmosphere, always bring the good vibes, always turn up in their numbers. And this was no different, loud singing for the first half an hour, but the team just sucked the life out of all the fans that were there. That's the honest truth of it. Yep. It's all very nice, getting a scarf, Christmas present and all that, but where's our Christmas present on the pitch? This was a massive step backwards today. That's what the reality is. We could all get excited about the last games. We're saying green shoots, a draw at Newcastle, winning the Champions League. We beat Brentford. We played attacking football. Well, this was one of the worst of the lot. It really was one of the worst of the lot. Like, this Nottingham Forest side were taking the piss out of us towards the end of that game. The last 20 minutes, they were allaying. They were taking the piss out of all the Spurs fans that were there. It was crazy. Get taken the piss out of a team that was sitting 17th, that had been in disarray for the majority of the season. It's an absolute disgrace. Not one bit of attacking intent. I remember one shot with Archie Gray.
That was our only shot on target.
And it's what I've been talking about, Yusim, pretty much for weeks and weeks and weeks, about the individualism of the team. All we do is rely on players to work their magic. Kudus, Spence today, Muani, at times was just trying to take it around their whole team. And it's just like, what have we got to go on today? There is literally nothing to go on today. It was such a bad performance. And I can't begin to start explaining it. It's just, I'm lost for words, man. I say I'm lost for words, but I've been speaking about 5 minutes.
You seem to have enough words to come up with. Brian, some fans have called in saying, what can Frank do when Gray's making a mistake like he did, and Hudson-Odoi, should Vicario have saved that one from Hudson-Odoi as well? How much blame is on Frank today with that performance?
Yeah, people will know on the channel and in the chat that I try to defend him as much as I can, but today it's completely unacceptable. I can't defend it. Do you know what I'll say to Ben Sim? We saw the starting lineup and we thought, brilliant. He's keeping the same team, not many changes. It looks like he's going to stick with this attacking ethos we've seen in the last couple of games. And it looked like there was some familiarity building up. But from the second we kicked off, there was not one single intent of attacking football. We did so well in the last couple of games to show some attacking intent. If we had lost this game but had played the attacking way we've done the last couple of games, I'll be like, do you know what? They stuck to their guns. They tried to play the football they've been playing recently, and the better team won. I don't think we put 5 forward passes together in the whole game. It was absolutely shambolic. I didn't understand Frank's game plan, strategy, tactics, decision-making, substitution or time of substitutions.
We're 2-0 down, pushing for a goal. We bring on Ben Davies and Pauli.
Yeah, and I'll tell you how bad we were, Tim. This is how bad we were. For the first time this season, we had a referee on the payroll for us, and we still performed shit.
Yeah, he was giving weird decisions for us. We got a bit lucky.
Yeah. And we were still shit.
Yeah.
We even had the ref on our side. It was, honestly, we've seen some bad performances under Frank. And we've spoken about the double pivot. We've spoken about chopping and changing. But this team have had the best part 3. This is the 3rd game. Obviously, there's been a couple of changes. But it looked like there was a start of something building or some kind of identity. And it was like 2 steps forward, 8 steps back. I'm flabbergasted with Frank. For the first time, I'm clueless of what I've just witnessed, and I'm pissed off I had the misfortune of watching it live.
Yeah, he said he was talking about the game in his press conference. He said on the second goal, first of all, he said the first 2 goals were 2 individual errors. So I'm assuming he's putting that second goal down to a Vicario mistake. And he said we were, after the first goal, I think we lost our structure and we were disjointed. And then the 2-0 goal killed the game off, and we basically were not in the game after that, in my opinion. But they scored that second goal in 50 minutes? So there was a lot of time left. Why is that acceptable for him to be saying the game is done at 2-0 when there's still basically a whole half of play to go?
No, of course it's not. But I think he's just trying to diffuse the situation, just trying to play it down a bit in the press. Like, the game was still there for the take. We could have still taken the game to them, got 1 back, and then you're banging the game. You've got half an hour still, 25 minutes still to get another goal. So, yeah, the game was nowhere near done at 2-0, but it was done for the way that we were playing, because I didn't see any route for us to get back into that game. And I'm sick and tired of these players coming out and apologising for performances. Pedro Porro, after the game, I heard he said, the away fans don't deserve this. So why do you keep fucking pulling these performances out? Like, Pedro Porro, I know he's done all right, and I'm happy with his performance the last couple of games, but today was back to one of his worst displays of the season. Like, he has not been good enough this season. So stop apologising after games and make up for it on the pitch. Like, how many times do we have to go through this? The same kind of performances from these individuals every single week, apart from a few performances in between. It's ridiculous, to be honest. I'm sick and tired of hearing it.
Yeah, Sim, let me ask you a question, because obviously when the first goal went in, the other end of the grounds was, so it looked like a Vicario howler. And that's why I said at half-time.
I think it was more gone, yeah.
But no, I was about to say, a lot of people commented on it, saying no, it was Archie Gray's fault. I've seen the goal on replay now. I get what people are saying about Gray, but where I still lie a bit of fault with Vicario is he can see people are on spent. Gray, why the hell did he not just hoof it? Just get rid of it.
Well, Frank, just so you know, Frank has laid the blame on Gray for that mistake.
I think it's 6 and 1.5 does the other. As a keeper, he should see the people closing Gray down and just get rid.
Gray to move towards it and start calling for it. Surely Vicario should hoof it.
He said Gray shouldn't have taken a touch. He just should have played it first time into Romero. If he does that, no danger. He said he doesn't have a problem with what Vicario did. He said you see it every week all over the world, so there's no problem with that. He said he doesn't. He said Gray will learn from it, and it was his mistake essentially. That's what.
Look, Gray will. I think Gray was the least of our culprits today. I know he made a mistake for the goal. But I think he handled himself better than a lot of the other players on the pitch today, in my opinion. And Jed Spence as well. I thought he handled himself a bit better than look, clutching at straws here, because I don't think anyone comes out of that with much kind of, glory well, definitely not glory, but I can't remember the credit. That's the word I'm looking for. I don't think many players come out of this with credit, but at least some you could see were actually trying to work hard and trying to play for the team. But it was all individuals all trying to work for themselves, and there was no teamwork whatsoever, and that was the big problem today.
And Jed's it was a bad reaction from Jed. I don't know if you saw it when he came off. He
Yeah.
wasn't happy with
Yeah.
Thomas Frank. There's a picture going around of him looking at daggers at Frank sitting on the sidelines as well. So I hope there's not like more evidence of players being disgruntled.
He shouldn't have been taken off, though. I don't think it would have made too much of a difference, let's be honest. But I don't get why you take off Spence for Davis at that moment.
Yeah, I agree. It didn't make sense. If you're pushing up, the one player you're going to want is someone like Spence, who's very good in one-on-one and situations.
And at least
he
had some intent. He was going forward, trying to push forward a little bit.
Davis was too scared, wasn't he, to go forward?
Yeah.
Porro was horrific.
Shocking.
Horrific.
But Frank has said after the game, asked if he is going to get time, he says, I can't see why not. I think it's pretty evident if no one gets the time, no one can turn this around. This is not a quick fix. So he's basically saying, similar to what Ragnick was saying, United, that we need open heart surgery kind of stuff. Like, this is a big job on his hands and he needs the time. So how do you feel about him saying that?
I think he should definitely be doing better with what he's got at this moment in time. But look, he's not wrong. I think that is a big job that he's taken on. No manager has been able to get consistent performances out in the league with this team. So, look, we've got no choice but to give him time. I think that's just the reality. Give him time until the end of the season. We assess our options at that moment in time. But I think from now until then, I think I don't think we have a choice. I think we have to give him time.
Yeah, someone tagged me and you two guys in a comment on Twitter saying, do you know what, I'm sick and tired of hearing Frank needs time. Dyche has come in and look what he's doing at Forest. And I responded to him and I said, do you know what, I agree with a lot you said, but Sean Dyche has come into a team where players have been bought for Nuno, which is similar to Sean Dyche's style of football. So they're very suited. Like Slot when he went and inherited Klopp's team. Mm-hmm. You look at our team, we've got, still players from like 4 managers because we keep buying potential and not quality. Frank needs to be doing better. I will admit that and say that. He needs to coach these teams and until January, get better results out of the players he's got. But again, today, I keep saying, like I was saying a few seasons ago, when the going gets tough, the weak go hiding. And we've got too many players that when they're under a bit of pressure, they just, I wouldn't say down tools, but they haven't got the fight in them. There needs to be a clear direction. And don't get me wrong, if Frank was to get sacked and another manager came in, they'd have the same problem. They might get better results out of the players we've got, but this January, ENIC have to prove that their actions match their words and help Frank. I will give him the time, but today, for me, obviously there's some poor fixtures which I've defended. This one, I'm really disappointed with, especially with the way we played the last couple of games. Looked like we were moving forward. There was something building, and it's just another backward step. And he's put so much pressure on the Liverpool game now. He's put so much unnecessary. Like I said at the beginning,
they're turning a corner as well at the moment, it seems.
Exactly. Like I said at the beginning, Sid, if we had played the same way we played against Brentford and Slavia and had lost, you could sit back and say, okay, we lost, but you can see what we're trying to do. There's something building. There's a style of play that we're identifying with, and we're working on that and getting better and playing that more consistently. Well, today he went from 2 results that worked brilliantly, never mind the opponents, to going back to what was getting him into a whole lot of trouble. And I don't know why he's done it. I'm clueless. I'm disappointed. I'm angry.
But the thing is, he did, as you said, he went unchanged from the Brentford game. So he looked like he found a formula in that Brentford game with that lineup that was working. And then we serve up what we did today. So, like, what does he do now?
It's all about intensity,
where does he change it?
The intensity in this team is so, like, up and down. Like, it can be good one game, shit the other. It's so inconsistent, the intensity of the team. And if the intensity of the team is not good enough, no matter what players you put on there, no matter what formation you play on there, it's never going to be good enough. And I think, we played the exact same team against Brentford, but the intensity was there, so it looked good.
But if that's going to happen, he needs to develop a way of playing that doesn't need that can still get results with the intensity dropping off, if the intensity is gonna, or he has to find a way of keeping that intensity. Is it the players' fault for lacking the intensity? Is there a problem with how they keep up that intensity? Obviously, we had how many days break between this and Slavia? 6 days? 5 days?
Yeah. The tiredness is not
why
exclusive.
is there a lack of intensity? Is it just
I have no idea.
just on
That's
the
what I've been
players?
scratching my head and trying to find out. I don't know, but look, you got to say the manager has a slice of blame, the players have a slice of blame. Yep. Everyone's got a slice of blame here, and it's not good enough, and it needs to be shaken out and worked out, because we keep hearing these same things after games from the manager, from the players, and all this kind of stuff, but nothing seems to be changing. You might get an uplift next week against Liverpool. You might see a bit of a better performance, but then it's going to go back down again in the next game. So we need to find some sort of consistent intensity levels. Otherwise, I don't know what we're going to end up doing.
You know what, Sim? This is a big week for Frank, because for the first time in a long time, there's no midweek game. So he's got the players all week to drill in whatever he's got planned for Liverpool, to try and wrinkle out what's going on in performances like this, to even try and talk to them individually about what the hell's going on, because we've seen the performances recently, but today there was just no desire, no fight, no passion, no commitment. And that's not a skill issue, that's a will issue. And that's an issue when they pick in the games. So hopefully a week off where the whole coaching staff and the players can address whatever is going on and focus fully on Liverpool. And I just pray to God we come out like they've had this week and they mean business, because if they don't, we could be in a real big problem.
The problem we got is every time we look like we're turning a corner, we come crashing back down to earth.
This is nothing new, though. This is Tottenham Hotspur in a nutshell, isn't it?
Yeah, true. Welcome to the life of being a Spurs fan, I guess. Exactly. I got another stat for you. This was the lowest XG that Forest have conceded this season.
I know. Mate, say the truth. Apparently, this is our lowest points tally at this stage of the season since 2008, 2009.
Is that true?
Yeah.
22. Wow. And look, we talk about the table being congested, but all of a sudden we're 4 points off fifth now. I mean, it is still quite close still, but a few more bad performances, we could start to fall away. That's the big issue.
Yep, that's the worry. And we got hard games coming up.
Don't worry, Sim, Dom Solanke's on grass. He'll be back soon. Our problems are solved. He's back on the grass.
You eyeing him as a stoner?
Do you know what? Half the players played that way today.
Yeah.
They were all on grass today. They were all on grass.
Let's look on the bright side. We got Scar, we got free merch from Tottenham Hotspur. That's all that matters today.
So
they were literally singing to us, you've got your staffs, now fuck off home.
At the end of the game, was there a lot of booing? Was it toxic?
Oh, mate, at 3-0, half of them left.
Yeah. Half of them left. So there was enough people to boo.
I didn't hear too much booing because I don't think there were many fans there.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I saw a few people on Twitter saying it was a tough game today, but a really, really good win because Palace away could have been a banana skin.
But you know what? In all honesty,
that's where we're at now.
Nothing, like we were saying last week, Sim, about Brentford, we could have had 4, 5, 6. It literally could have been Forest doing that, and the freedom.
3-0 flattered us today.
Yeah.
And by the way, another goal from outside the box, even against Forest, Sangare, another one.
Yeah. Mate, listen, so many times the Forest players had the freedom of Nottingham to look around the pitch, see what's available. There was just no intensity. It's just a diabolical, shambolic performance.
And also that defensive solidity seems to have completely abandoned us. That's 13 goals now in the last 6 games we've conceded.
Yeah, it's just not on. It's not on. And like I said, today Frank takes a massive slice of the pie for me. But again, like I said, the players, there was just no fight, desire. Simmons was trying to do things, and his defensive work again, and putting his body on the line.
I think all apart from Richarlison was so bad today. Richarlison was woeful.
Yeah, he was also awful.
The other players, like I think with Kudus and with Javi and with Mwani, as much as they didn't have good games, it's like I keep saying, there was no teamwork between them. It was all of them trying to just do their own thing and on their own little side quests and missions. throughout the game, and it's like, where's the teamwork, man? Ridiculous.
I wonder where Frank goes from here in terms of selection. Because what, could he keep that same team? Does he change up again?
To call I'll start next game. What more does Tell need to do to get more minutes, man? Whereas the game's gone by the time he comes on. Like, bring him on when he's got his fighting chance.
God, a lot to discuss tomorrow. But we'll see you. We'll see you in the studio tomorrow to go in deeper. I'm sure you're looking forward to that. Sure you're looking forward to that. All right, but we'll see you guys. Appreciate you guys calling in. Enjoy your food. Enjoy the rest of your day. And we'll see you soon.
It's going to be terrific, brother. Can't wait. Can't wait. Terrific day. See you later, people.
Nice one, guys. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, that was Ben and Brian. Is that it? No, one more. We've got another one. Let's get Alexander on. Hi, Alexander. Thanks for calling in, mate. How are you doing?
How are you, son?
God, shocking, isn't it? It was such a tough game today to watch. And what do we do about what we saw today? How do we move on from that? Because we thought we were turning the corner after the Brentford game, but it's like we're back to square one.
Yeah, I just think most fans don't know what to put their blame to, honestly. So it just creates even further frustration because we don't even know. Like we can't pinpoint on something, and like without this we would be doing much better. There's so many things congested into one that everybody just becomes divided. Somebody blames it on this, other fans blames it on this, and we're all over the place, you know. And I think there's really something that I have to push on because when we say these players aren't good enough, most of them they perform brilliantly for their national teams. Before they came to us, they had no sort of issues with consistency. The level wasn't as high from most clubs we bought them from, and they didn't play 2 weeks again. But for their national teams, they perform. Because most of these players, it goes down to when they have quality around them, which they usually have in their national teams, then they perform. But they're at the same time not these kind of players that on their own will carry a shit team through the mud. Most of these players, the only players we've had in recent times that have been able to do that are Son and Kane. We don't have them now. We don't have those players that can carry us out of the shit mud and go like, this was a horrific performance, but we got away with something because of these individual players. We haven't been able to say that for such a long time. And I don't think it doesn't only go down to player level, it also goes down to manager level. Because when we look at managers, we've had Poch, who performed massively without 2 transfer windows of 0 players. Massive overperformance. One of the greatest, I would say, in the Prem, barring even Leicester, because what he did with such little resources was insane. I'm going to move on to Conte. What he did, top 4 that season with Dyer, Davies, Arash, Romero, who wasn't the player he is today back then, and the midfield, the wing back, Sessegnon, Doherty, he got top 4 with that team. We're spoiled as a fan base. We've had such massive overperformances, both by players and managers. We've had both sides of the table with and we're just spoiled as a fan base. So we expect so much, but in reality, most of these players they're not fit for this level. They're great players, but they have to have quality around them to shine. When the base level is mediocrity and above averageness and not like much further away from that, then you're gonna get inconsistent performances. That alongside youth, because youth, what defines youth is that they're inconsistent. You see flashes of brilliance in them, but that's the potential of what they can become. They're always gonna be inconsistent. Like youth players, they equal inconsistency. That's what makes them youth players. Unless they're generational like Yamal and etc. But even players who are great, they all have inconsistency. The only players who barely have them are experienced leaders and winners, which we lack in the squad. The only 30-plus player we have is Palhinha and Davies. And you could argue there, the winner out of them is like Palhinha. He's the one with he came from Bayern, he's had a taste of that, their culture. But if you have to point it down to something, just to finish up, it's the culture. The main thing, Josh even said it earlier, the main thing that's wrong with our club is the culture, and it goes down to the legacy Levy left, honestly, both on player and mentality level, what the goal and even objective of the club is. Fans before me said it. When players come to Spurs, they're not even though we can convince ourselves of it. They're not joining us and thinking, shit, we're gonna win stuff year in year out. That's not the. Most of them see us as a stepping stone. Most of them see us as a comfortable environment to grow on their own potential.
Not too much pressure.
Yeah, so that they may one day reach that level. And I said it before. I don't know if you were in the show back then, but I came on and I repeated Conte's rant. They don't want to play under pressure. They don't want to play under stress. And the caller before me, he said about United. It was Ben and Brian. Picked them up, but they said about United when Rangnick came out and said when he called out United like they need open heart surgery, and he's been proven right because they've been shit ever since going way back. And it's the same with Conte. What he said about us, it's not going to change if we switch managers. It's not. And the fact remains, we can't talk like we know better than these elite. How do we as fans? We don't know. We haven't been inside the game. Most of us, 99% of us haven't been inside the game. These managers have, and they speak the thing. Why not listen to them? They're right, honestly. And yeah, today's performance, to go into it, honestly, I said a week back, if Gray starts this game away to Forest, I think we'll lose. I put money on that. If Gray starts, not because he hasn't been good in the previous games, but because he's young. He hasn't featured in a row of games in midfield for us. He's gonna be inconsistent, and I think the game where he's gonna sort of, be the culprit of things and not be up to level is this game. And Frank, like he changes it when he doesn't have to, and he keeps it the same when he had to change. Because I don't think the Brentford 11 we're gonna perform here today, because we needed a different dynamic against Forest. And yeah.
So who would you have played instead of Gray?
I would have played either a midfield of Palinha as the sole holder, like holding 6, and Bergvall and Xavi like interchanging. We're all having that more, what do you want to call the more deep laying role, and Xavi being more progressive, intershifting between the wings, and Bergvall being more back. But I think, yeah, honestly, we have to go into Vicario too, because honestly, if we get a good offer for him in the summer by Milan or any other top club, then we have to take it. Honestly, you mentioned on it before. You said what we don't do as a club is we don't recycle values. We don't recycle players when they're at their peak value, and when they don't show signs of further improving. And do we really think Vicario is gonna go on to another level and become like no? I think we've seen the best of him now, and he's not going to become better than he is right now. It also goes down to, I want to mention this, I also go down to, I think, our changing goalkeeping coach. I think it goes down to that too, because last season I didn't see the kind of mistakes and howlers I see from Vicario this season. I didn't see him last season when he's standing out of position and crosses coming in and he looks clueless. The Brighton guy. It's all a mess, really, and I'm at the stance with. I don't see the point in sacking him, and I hated to be one of those fans at the start of the season that said this is a write-off season, because that just what do you mean? So entire year is just supposed to be no expectations. It doesn't fill you with excitement and optimism when you say it like that. But now it has become reality. I just think this is a not write-off season, but what do we have left for? It's the FA Cup, and even if we go out of that, then it's basically securing a decent league finish and praying for the best. Because, yeah.
The problem is every other season for Tottenham is a write-off season. That's the problem, and that's the frustration, isn't it?
And it's the hope that kills you.
But how do you get out of that cycle?
I said it's the culture. It's the culture. You can't. And it's not individual players. It's even the players with a winning mindset. They get infected as soon as they join this club. They get infected with comfortability, because when they look around them, the environment isn't set up for success. It's not success. It's not set up to win and nothing else. Like no tolerance for losing. It's not like that. So they slowly but surely get more comfortable, and they lose maybe the ferociousness and like the drive to win. It lowers when they come to us, It does. Culture, you can.
So how do we change it? How do we change it?
We have to start recruiting. We have to start recruiting not just players of quality, but players that have shown signs of consistency, and that don't. We can't sign any Ndombele and one season wonders. We have to sign experienced qualities, and I think the only way you do that is you break your wage structure, because there's no way to convince players to come to Spurs as we are right now if it isn't primarily for money. At least, also we're a Big Six club, we can't forget.
Mm-hmm.
But it has to be for money right now, because and I don't get this argument when Stell says like it drives me. I don't get it. Do you really think that it's worth spending 100 million on a? No big club thinks like that. No big clubs think is it worth. Their manager is he's irrelevant to the discussion when it comes to recruitment. If we recruit pure quality, that can players that are good enough for any manager under any system, then what does the manager make a difference? If the next manager before him can utilize him just as well, then, like, what do we want to do? Do we want to have a posh window, no player sign nobody just because Frank isn't worth it? I don't get it. It's such a. I get baffled every time I hear that argument. I'm not Frank in what. It's both. It's both players and managers, and I just think the best option is to ride it out now.
So you think he just needs to get to the end of the season, and regardless of where we finish or anything, he needs to be given time?
Yeah, because I think we have to build on the squad, and what we have to do, just more important, also just as important as signing good players, we have to get rid of a lot of players that have been here for the Bentancurs, Bisumas, the Richies, Vicario. Even now, he looks quite suitable to sell. Who do we have more? We have Davies, definitely gonna go. That's 5 players, and what I want to see my club do is replace them with not youth and experience. I want to see them being replaced with proper performers. A Manu Kone, Angelo Stiller from Stuttgart. Take a Chiesa, take players of experience, and don't. Also, this is very, very. Don't be like, oh, they're 30 plus. They're not gonna do. We need that. We need 30. We need the Perisic sort of profiles in our squad right now to uplift levels of performance. Because I think we have too many youth. We have too many friends right now that don't hold each other accountable to high performances. Alongside the fact that our manager, I don't think he's a great motivator. Like, he gets his players pumped up, in the same way Ange did. I think he's a greater tactician than Ange, an overthinker, which he has himself said he is. But when it comes to motivation, just getting their play, getting blood hungry for a game, I don't think he has that in him. And it's dark really right now, because I can't sympathize with fans either that say, "Go, just wait till the summer and go back to Poch." I can't. Going back to your ex who kissed another dude, in this instance is going to Chelsea. That was the sort of betrayal in that sense. You don't go down that path, and I don't even think like it's the same with Ange. He's also an ex, but what he does, I mean, the guy, he took our virginity, because that was the goddamn trophy drought for 70 years. That's what he did. And we say we want to go back to that. No, it's over, and we have to let it go. What we don't have as a club is, we're not aware of that there's better options out there. There's options out there.
But we need good people making those decisions. The problem is the people who made the decisions somehow landed on Thomas Frank in the summer. And looking back on it, like, one of the criteria they decided on Frank was that he plays good, attractive football. Now, who the hell is making those decisions? But who's making those decisions? Who decided that? Because who looked at Brentford and thought, "Oh wow, they play such nice football"? Like, who decided that?
I think Levy was primarily like driver to that. He drove that, but also when you look at the stats, Brentford last season, it's not how we're playing right now. It's no surprise. Last season they were the team with the highest shot on target conversion rate in the league. Like their amount of shots, they had the highest, shots on target percentage. Like, low risk shooting. They had that for 2 years on the bounce. They've been the team in the Premier League that have had those stats, and you can see that. It shouldn't be a surprise. So we basically, our board should have seen this coming. We can't ask him to change and start, be Pep. What?
I agree exactly. You should hire a manager based off what he does, not what you hope he does.
Exactly. That's why I didn't hold Frank to the highest in my. I thought a manager like Sebastian Hoeneß of Stuttgart, for example, someone that has shown, because he's been linked, he's worked with like elite youth academies before, but he's also had, if you want to add it, he's also had an element of winning. He's won a German cup, basically their version of the FA Cup, the FA Pokal with Stuttgart, and when he took over, similar like Eddie Howe's story, when he took Stuttgart over, they were 17th, and the season after that they finished in the Champions League. So he's had a similar trajectory in that sense. But with Frank now, honestly, I just think the squad, we're not capable of competing 2 games a week. That like the quality isn't there. We can't do it. The performance level, the culture it's not for 2 games a week, 2-3 games a week. It's not. It isn't there.
And Frank's never done it. Frank's never managed 2 games a week.
Yeah, exactly. And I think honestly, he's needed more time, because with Brentford he had 1 week to prepare for
every
each game.
game. Yeah, exactly.
And
he can input his game plans and his tactical tweaks and all these different things. He had much more time to do it.
Yeah, and even against Brentford now, we played great, and I don't buy this. Yeah, it was because Brentford were awful. No, we played great, and we struck them where they were weak, and we utilized that. We made them look awful, and that goes down to primarily Frank knowing them so well. He knows most players, he knows their weakness, and in that sense, I don't think like the thought of him losing to a set piece coach, I think that was like unacceptable. So we won. He performed, and he had a game plan that worked excellently. But against Deitch, when I listened to the press conference before the game, the way he talked about Forest, the way he talked about them, the way he talked about Deitch, okay, they're friends, but the way he talked about them, you could think he was speaking of Atletico Madrid. They're a really, really, really difficult. Like this. It's not wrong to say that, but this mentality and this sort of mindset, it breeds defeatist culture, like under like submission and inferiorness. Okay, we're on their level. No, we're not supposed to be on Forest level. We're not supposed to be. We're supposed to be better than them. You have to speak like you're better than them. Even though your words might always be truth, we might go there and lose still. But you have to speak. You have to speak like you believe in something and that you are better than them. But the way he spoke about him, like, oh, this is really, really difficult, and I expect a game that's it's gonna take us to the edge, and it doesn't breed motivation for the players either. And it goes back to what I said. He doesn't have that. I don't think you're gonna see him like when we went away to PSG. I don't think he's gonna have a speech in the dressing room. Like, go PSG. They think we're little shits, and we're gonna go out there and we're gonna do something to them. We're gonna show them. Like, I don't think he has that. It's unlikely. It's not correlated to reality, because we're not better on paper. But to breathe that belief that he doesn't have that. I just think he has the tactical ability, and at Spurs, that club that we lack mentality. We have a culture issue. I think you have to be both. You have to have both the tactician side of things and the motivational part.
Big clubs like this.
To make sure your players, when the tactics doesn't work, at least you have the effort there. At least you have them fighting and giving their all for you, because you've motivated them. You've brought belief into them. You brought that warrior, that warrior mindset into them. That even if we trail by 2 goals, or even we're gonna keep going. And today I sort of expected it, because when I saw the same lineup, I didn't think it would work, especially with Gray in midfield. I think he's going to be a player one day, but I still favor Bergvall's abilities more than him, especially in a game like this, much more. I think if Bergvall would have started, we would have had a chance, or more shots on target at least, because he would have combined with Xavi well, which we've seen during lesser opponent, but against Slavia and when Bergvall was on the pitch with Xavi, I think they played really they interlinked really well, and you could see the space that opened in behind it was great. And yeah, honestly, right now there's not much to do. I just think we have to calm ourselves as a fan base, even though it's miserable.
Look, it takes a lot to calm this fan base down. We like to go from what's called crisis to crisis, but
just one final thing. Honestly, I have to mention this too. We have to stop using Arsenal as the benchmark, because when we talk about them like they're champions, like they've been anything. They haven't been in a final in 5 years. In 5 years, we've been in 2 more finals than them during the last 5 years. We can't talk about them like they're. Talk about City, talk about Liverpool when we want to set the example of how a squad has been built. But don't talk about Arsenal, because they're gonna ball it again. And Estelle said it looks to be our
come on
primary joy of the season. Honestly, just watching.
Let's just hope. If they can end this season trophyless while we're this bad, at least we can take something away from it. But look,
we're going to win the Champions League. You know, Frank he's throwing away the league like Ange did last season. He's just going to.
I'll take it. 17th in Champions League. I'll take that every day of the week. Alexander, big up to you, mate. Thanks for calling. Cheers. Nice to see you, mate. And we'll see you soon. All right, that was Alexander. And now we have the main event, Truth and... I can't remember what it used to be, Truth and something. But let's get Mr. Box Office. Alex.
Tim, you know when you're at Christmas, yeah?
That's it.
You know when you're at Christmas? It's at Christmas, yeah? And with your family at the table, yeah, sitting at the table, and you're sitting with that uncle, yeah, that just gets on your nerves. You don't like that uncle, yeah, right? That eats your turkey, eats your bread, takes too much of that bread sauce and everything else, yeah. Plays those bad games. Is embarrassing, not embarrassing, but you know, tells you some home truths.
Yeah,
that's Mr. Box Office, the proof and entertainment. The truth, was it the Professor in Truth and Entertainment? That's the ratings killer. That's who he is. Because when
you're more like the uncle's had his bit too much. It's a bit like the uncle's had a bit too much to drink.
Oh no! I don't even drink. That's the thing. I don't even drink. I'm certified. Because when they say things like Pretty Ricky, the Dutch Pretty Ricky, Dutch Pretty Ricky, yeah, Javi Simmons. I don't rate him, right? Okay, I meant it. That's why I don't rate him, right? Because he's not better than Kulusevski. Because Kulusevski and Maddison, if they were in that team right now, you wouldn't see him for dust. I even say this, Sim, right? Because we say we need to give Thomas Frank time. Well, on today, I don't know if we can give him time, because why is Nottingham Forest, right? Sean Dyche, Nottingham Forest, playing better football than Thomas Frank's Tottenham, bruv? Why is he playing better football? Why am I watching, right, their football more purpose? Yeah, and it's not effort, it's not hard work, it's just quality. It's footballers, yeah, and tactics. That's what it's called, right? You know what I mean? Because as far as I'm concerned, this is concerning on Frank now. Because if I'm watching Nottingham Forest, the first attack, I was sitting there thinking, wow. I'm seeing Sengari absolutely boss our midfield. Right? Of Archie Gray, that is no different to Bentaleb. I heard Tottenham fans. And when people, and I say hello to everybody in the comments and everybody that was having a go at the Professor of Truth and Entertainment, your oracle that was telling you about Javi Simmons, Mawani, yeah, that below average, yeah, Emil Heskey, Richarlison, and I told you some home truths, and you all had a go at me in the comments telling me I had all this stuff. Well, look who's talking now. Who's looking smiling now? Yeah, who's looking smart now? The Oracle. The Oracle, Mr. Box Office, the Professor of Truth and Entertainment.
So wait. So you blame the players, you don't blame Frank?
I blame Frank on this right now, bro. It's like the players as well, but Frank has got the most of it, and that's it. Because if you're telling me you're bringing on Ben Davies, that should have retired a long time ago for Spence to try and change the game. You must be going somewhere wrong there, bruv. I'm sorry. I am sorry. You know what I mean?
So
I'm sorry. It's an absolute joke. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, Sim. Let me have my 5 minutes of fame because you've had 2 hours already. You know what I mean? But my point is though, yeah, right? Because this is going to be a short, sharp appearance for your Professor of Truth and Entertainment, the Oracle, yeah. Because as far as I'm concerned, yeah, there is context to this right now. You know what I mean? Well, what you watch right now, I'm seeing Sengari absolutely boss our midfield. I'm seeing Williams, right, playing quality, playing triangles. I'm actually seeing it, not just pretend to see it to be fake, because I ain't fake, yeah? When I'm watching us play Brentford, who are bang average, seeing us playing Sabia Prague, which are bang average, yeah? And then putting triangles on the screen to show that we're doing something, when we're not doing anything, they were just bad teams, right? And when the test comes, look what happens. Look what happens. You know what I mean? It's pathetic, as far as I'm concerned. And this shows you that we were going over the top because we want to make ourselves look good in front of all the top rivals. That's all we're trying to do. It's pathetic. You know what I mean? Why is Sean Dyche's team looking better football team than us? Sean Dyche, who never played football in his whole life. Sorry. What am I seeing here, bro?
So what do we do about it?
Well, like I said, unfortunately, we've got to keep him until the end of the season. But I'm telling you right now, yeah, he's on thin ice. He's on thin ice until the end of the season right now, bro. Because like, if there are better managers available that can play better football than him right now, because that's the damning statement right now. And he's not even apologising for it in the press conference. If Sean Dyche is doing better football than him with Gibbs White, with, was it Milikovic? I forgot his name. Okay?
Milikovic, yeah.
Milikovic. The central, I forgot his, Malero, yeah? Sorry if I'm getting the names wrong. Mourinho's, sorry for getting the names wrong, yeah? The goalkeeper, right? Which I can't remember his name now.
Making his Premier League debut today.
Making his Premier League debut today. It's embarrassing. Right? I've seen their striker, better than our striker all day long. Better than our striker all day long. We were having to go at certain players like Pavlyuchenko back in the past. Mason. All these players. And you're telling me that some of these players are not, they can touch on some of those players. It's a joke. And they play much more better football than we're seeing right now.
Oh, Alex. Anything else you want to say?
There's not really much else I can say than that, really. You know what I mean? Because the fact is, I mean, that's the thing that cuts. Nottingham Forest playing better football than us. Playing much more better football than us. And that's a Sean Dyche team. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? You know what I mean? I've wasted my afternoon of a daylight, and you know how long the daylight is now these days, right? You know, daylight, watching that absolute rubbish. And that's why some of those people that had a go at the Professor of Truth and Entertainment, the ratings killer, well, look who's the truth now, you know what I mean? I just do things in organic, bro. I just do things organic, because as far as I'm concerned, I ain't going to be fake about it like some of these other people do, yeah? Right? To say, oh, it looks good because it's only 5 minutes. It needs to be consistent. And unfortunately, you're not going to get consistency. Yes, I agree, we need better players. But if Thomas Frank is not showing that he can do something with these players right now, showing me something that he can do something right now, why should you give belief right now and give him the £100 million that you want to waste on him at the moment? You know what I mean? The choice that you've got to make is the club going to make club signings, right, and he's the coach, right, or are you going to back Frank to the hill? And I think the decision needs to be made right now. This club and Frank have got to make their own decision on what players they're going to bring in, and that's it for me, right? That's it for me. Rather than doing what you're doing at the moment, because like I said, They should have been 5-0 up. Don't agree with the whole thing about Brentford, that we played well against Brentford. I think Brentford were rubbish. I think we did okay, good, and did what we needed to do. Some applied was just easy, and you know that as well, right? And the first test against Nottingham Forest, we completely crumble. And I'm sorry, right? And that's why I'm just telling you the truth, and that's it for me, right? And I'll leave it there, because like I said before, I've said it how many times, and I'm getting fed up with saying the same thing to the same everybody else, the same thing every single time. And I get criticised, and I'm told that I'm negative. Well, what happens is I'm being consistent, and that's it. And that's all I've got to say. I'll leave it to Sim. And like I said, best, worst, and bang average top 5 is coming soon. Let's reaction content's coming soon, because like I said, I can't carry on with this crap, and that's it. But big up to everybody in the chat. Leave Sim to go to sleep, and that's it. And take care of yourselves. And
Big
that's
up,
it.
Alex.
And
Good to see you, mate. Thanks for calling. Big up, Alex. Whew, a whirlwind from Alex. And let's get Zeke on.
Hello.
How you doing, mate? Thanks for calling in.
Yeah. First off, I want to say, I just want to say thank you so much. You and Ben are like the main reasons I'm a Tottenham fan.
Oh wow, thank you.
Yeah, just like when I got into it, I really needed like a channel like this, to get me up to date and get me thinking how I should be thinking and everything. So you guys were like a main contributor to that. So I just want to start off with that.
Big up to you.
My main reason for calling in, I think I have a different perspective than a lot of the European fans, being an American, and the difference between the two different sports systems. When I became a Spurs fan, my first game ever watching was the Champions League final. I chose the team. My friend was a huge Chelsea fan. A bunch of kids I knew were Arsenal fans and like United fans, and I didn't want to, follow everyone else. And Spurs were in a good way at that time, so I decided to join up. And I've only ever seen the team go down since then. And sequential to that, if you look right there, right there.
Yeah.
That's my favorite basketball team, the OKC Thunder. Sequential to Tottenham going down, the OKC Thunder have risen to the top of the NBA. And through the way they did that, was good team management, which I won't talk about because they're completely different in the two different systems. It's hard to replicate what you see in America. But the way they did that was sort of rebuilding the culture of the team, right? And I know that's a lot of things. Something that everyone else has been talking about is the culture of Tottenham. And I think it really does tie back to Antonio Conte and what he said. It's easy here. The players, they're coddled here. You know what I mean? And I believe that we need to give someone, I don't know if it's Frank, but we need to give someone that time to rebuild the culture. And you can say it comes from the top, it comes from Enoch, which it definitely does. But within the locker room itself, or the changing room, dressing room, whatever, we need to give someone that time to reframe how these players look at the club, look at their performances, look at who they are as players. And that's not something that Frank's going to be able to do in 6 months. You know what I mean? It's something some of the best managers have come here and haven't been able to do it. Jose Mourinho couldn't do it. Antonio Conte couldn't do it. You know what I mean? Those are two guys who can in any other circumstance, right? And so I don't know if it's Frank, but I think we need to change how we think as a fan base and always trying to chop and change everything, because we're not Chelsea. We're not going to spend 150 million every window, and we can't do that. We can't be like, we're just going to buy these players of immense quality. A, the players of immense quality don't want to come. B, they don't want to stay when we do get them. And so we can't just be like, oh, we'll buy all these great players and it doesn't matter who the manager is, because that's just not something Tottenham can do. That's not the team we are, right?
But how do you know when the manager's not the right fit? How long do you give it?
See, that's where it gets difficult, right? I think from what I've seen from Frank, I don't know if he's quite the right fit. He feels a bit unsure of himself, like the job's a bit too big for him. But I also think someone like Ange, I was a big Ange in guy. I think he had it. You know what I mean? I think he had the the balls on him to, say, fuck whatever Enoch is trying to tell me, fuck what everyone from the outside is trying to tell me. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse or
No,
not.
keep going. You're good.
Like, I'm just gonna be me, and who I am as a winner, and I have this brash personality where I'm gonna speak my truth and say whatever I want. And I thought that was really good for the team, and we saw it sort of in their performances. Maybe their performances weren't the best, but we saw the desire to change what the club was about. We saw the push for the trophy. You know what I mean? Say we're going to go against the grain of what everyone thinks about Tottenham and try and change it. And then we got rid of him, which I thought was the complete wrong decision because of that. But I think there are certain managers who you can tell from the personality that they might have it in them. And I thought Conte was going to be that guy. I was super excited when Conte got hired, but I think the board sort of tore him down, and it was never going to work out because of that. But I think there is a way to tell. I don't really think Frank is the guy. I don't know if I'm Frank in or Frank out yet. I'm still on the fence, but I think there is a way to tell.
But you can't tell yet.
With Frank, yeah. Frank, I kind of can. Frank, I don't know. Right. I think he's a bit too nice. I mean, I don't see how he is in the dressing room and with the players, but I think he's a bit too like, I'm gonna hold their hand and it's okay, guys. It'll get better eventually. And I think we need someone who's a bit more like Conte, is gonna be like, this is unacceptable. You guys get paid millions and you're not a baby, grow up. You know what I mean? But that might just be me and my personal, what I would want to see from a coach,
So
everyone.
You think in the dressing room there's not enough players with that kind of, to create a culture within the dressing room of what, winning culture or never say die culture, or just what needs to change within the culture within that dressing room? That for you, what's the big issue? Because Romero's won a World Cup. Well, the whole squad just won a Europa League last season, so they got that trophy monkey off their back.
Like we have this thing, Dr. Tottenham, right? Where it gets to that critical point, that critical game, and you always fall short, right? I think the way that gets changed, it's hard to be like, here's your quick fix, you know what I mean? But I think the way that gets changed is definitely strong leadership and accountability, and also sort of a grounding yourself, if that makes sense, not letting yourself get caught up in these moments. And I think that does come from strong leadership. I know Romero is a World Cup winner, and I know that he's the leader of the team right now and everything. I personally don't like him as the leader of our team. I think he doesn't have the calmness about him, and I also don't really think he has the leadership quality about him either, to be honest. But I think it comes from, you have these guys that you can look up to, and they're always going to be calm in the storm, right? And that's what leads to a team that will perform consistently and won't let outside factors affect them. You have these strong guys you can look to in the front who never, no matter if we get smacked 5-0 by whoever, or we win 6-0 at Arsenal, who cares? You stay in the middle and you stay, we're in the center here, and we continue and we stay grounded and calm.
Okay. Well, how do you think we move forward from here? How much time does Frank have? Do you think he has till the end of the season? Do you think they're considering pulling the trigger anytime soon?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm the board, I'm definitely, the question marks have been raised for sure. I think also, I don't know if Frank will get fired because it is the first go for this for these new leaders, right? And I don't know if they're going to be willing to, say, oh, we immediately messed up. Immediately, we have to change everything just because of the PR of that. I personally would give Frank till the end of the season, I think, just because I don't know who you're going to get to replace him. And in the summer, certain managers may be available. Who knows what happens with Xabi Alonso, for example? You know what I mean? So I just don't know if it's the right time to say bye-bye. But I don't know even if he does. Well, I mean, if he turns it around a lot, like sure, give him the next season. But if we continue like this, we finish, right around mid-table, no trophy. Maybe he does well in the Champions League or something. I would, it's time to go.
All right, Zeke, appreciate you calling in, mate. Great call, and call in again. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, mate.
Bye.
All right. Was that the last one? All right. Well, that was a grueling day, a horrible performance. But appreciate everyone sticking with us for the watch along, for the instant match reaction and the post match fan show. Thank you for everyone who did call in. Thank you to Stel, who's not here, but thank you to him for joining me for the watch along and the fan show as well. We'll see you tomorrow in the studio where we dissect what happened today even further, and we go into all the reaction from social media and whatnot to today's horrific defeat. But thank you everyone for joining us today for the streams. We'll see you all next time. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.